So to wrap our military base conversation up, the base, the version of it is that fucking Fort Stewart sucks ass.
Yeah.
but it is probably one of the shittiest postings you can get. Maybe Kansas.
I don't know. Fort Drum sounds pretty terrible, man.
Fort
Drum.
I've heard bad things about
Cold.
Fort Drum.
Yeah, just cold. You're stuck in New York.
What's that town? Watertown.
Yeah, I've heard nothing good. But I think the moral story is like, if it sucks, you just gotta find a way to make it not suck.
It's what you make of it, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we are back for part 2 with the man who needs no introduction, Tom Evans again. Sexy beast that he is. He's decided to stick with us for a longer form episode, which will serve us well because we got a lot of ground to cover this time around. We left off last time by talking about a couple of really important days for Tom, but also for us as a platoon. We have this tradition of naming certain days, and if a day gets a name, it gets a name for a reason, right? It sticks out to you because there's countless firefights that, frankly, sometimes I just completely forgot until somebody jogs my memory because it was either inconsequential or I wasn't in the right spot to really get the heat of it or whatever. But Low Crawl Day was kind of different. Well, it wasn't different, actually, which is why it's a good day to talk about. Because Low Crawl Day is really indicative of what it was like to fight in Panjwai.
Yeah.
This long foot patrol. It was up and over grape rows through the fields. And to get hit by sporadic small arms fire on the way into a village and have the intensity of that fighting increase the closer you get to that village, which is exactly what happened to us that day. In retrospect, I see, and this is something we talked a bit about with Brian, I see our tactics in kind of like in 3 different phases. In the beginning, it was roads, taking the roads, getting in the ticks on the roads, whatever. Then the engineers got hit and we got pushed off the roads and we basically stopped. And then the second phase of that tactics was learning those really long walks, learning to start them at like midnight so that we could be there 4 or 5 in the morning. And I think that we started doing that a little bit more frequently after Low Crawl Day, because on this day we left like at dawn or whatever. And we ended up paying the price for that because we were open and exposed to the enemy for the entire day, which ended up leading to us getting to like 8 or 9 firefights, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
quite
7
a few.
or 8 was like my count.
Yeah.
But I mean, it blends.
It
blurs.
does.
I mean, it was a lot. It was more than 1, less than 10.
It was almost like one continuous firefight for like 16 hours, but it was broken up and it's like they took little tea breaks.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Oh, you remember, this is kind of a tangent, but you remember when they were like the call to prayer? So like in call to prayer, they'd take a little break and go and pray and then come back and fight.
Yeah.
That's a pretty consistent thing too.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. As soon as you heard the speakers.
Low Crawl Day, like we were going to Loy Calais, which was south of Sketcha?
East of Sketcha.
East of Sketcha. Then how did we avoid going through Sketcha?
We passed just north of Sketcha.
Yeah.
Did we? Okay.
Well, so we kind of split Sketcha North and Sketcha South. So we kind of split the difference and went past it.
We kind of shot the gap there.
Yep.
Yeah, because I remember we pushed past where Sketcha was.
Or maybe we were to the south of Sketcha, but either way, it was past Sketcha.
Right.
Actually, it was south of Sketcha because we came back.
Yeah.
We came back through Adams Eye, so it had to have been. It was south of Sketcha.
Yeah, because we went by the Adams Eye School.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we left out to go on this really long foot patrol. There's a platoon of A&A out there with us. The movement was probably a solid couple clicks, be my guess. One way.
Yeah. Yes, I remember we came up off the road. Like
Off of Route
we
Brown.
walked up Route Brown for probably a click until about the ALP checkpoint.
Yeah. Even before all this, our squad was kind of jumbled up. You remember? So they had, this was after we got done doing the Gustav training.
Yeah.
And so it was myself, you, Luke, and another guy on the Gustav team. And then it was the rest of our team was in the rear.
Yeah, I was in the back with Perez.
Yeah.
It was just me and him, really, though.
Yeah. And
Kitching was out there with us. He actually joined us for this patrol because I think we were walking in to do Ashura. I think.
Yeah, we were walking into Loikale to do Ashura with some village elder who wasn't even there.
Yeah.
It was like a surprise Shura, aka we're going to do a quote unquote Shura, which means go out and move into contact. Go out, get shot at, shoot back, come back.
To contact.
Yeah. Well, it was telling that it could have been much quicker if we had gone from the north and gone south. Yeah. If we had come down from Route Hyena to go to Loikale, it would have been much quicker. Yeah. But we chose either because we had done it that way before.
We walked the dozer line from when we were doing a clearing mission while Animal Planet was out there filming.
Yeah.
Like they were out doing the Glory Hounds special they did. And I think it was like a week before that. We had gone out there with the dozer and they dozed a path through and we were going out there to do something. It was either like clear trees or...
it was part of trees and walls because the AOP checkpoint was getting just fucked up from being close up all the time.
So I think we used that way because it pretty much like bulldozed a bunch of grape rows and walls and stuff. So it was kind of like a quick access point. So I think they kind of wanted the element of surprise too without vehicles.
Right.
So instead of parking up on the road and walking down, they wanted us just to jam in.
Yeah.
Beat some brush.
A couple of things that stick out to me about Low Crawl Day. One is that it was actually kind of overcast. It was still hot.
It was humid though.
But it was bad humid that day.
Yeah.
But it was like hot. It was kind of overcast and it was weird because it never was overcast except for maybe a couple of days in the very beginning of the deployment.
Mm-hmm.
I think it rained. There's like one day where it kind of rained, but it was
misty, like misted or something.
Like spitted around, and then it was I never felt water in my skin for the rest of that 9 months.
Mm-hmm. I remember it was just like a sticky day, man. It was nasty.
Yeah, it was just bad. And one of the things that was interesting about being there in Panjwai, and especially in that river valley, was because the vegetation was so thick, and especially when you get down like the deeper grape rows and then the pomegranate orchards and stuff, is that it would like create little mini jungles.
Yeah. The moisture coming off of it would just
and especially if those grape rows were irrigated and there was standing water in them, because it was just like a jungle in miniature, man. And you would get up on the walls, that you would climb up just 6-7 feet or whatever, and it was that dry air, desert air. And it was the strangest sensation,
You would never in a million years would you think you'd encounter like more or less probably like 100% humidity in a desert. It's weird.
That was miserable. It's like Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Georgia down in the it was like Georgia down in the grape rows in Iraq up in the open field.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It was very strange, man. It was weird.
So we started this movement, started pushing east. Like you said, the squad was jumbled. We had just gotten the Gustav training, and actually the Gustav, it came to us like a little bit later in the deployment. Basically right around the time you came to us, we got the Gustav. And we couldn't get Brian to confess to it, but I'm like pretty sure that the SF team did a little slicing and dicing and managed to essentially let us adopt their Gustav. Or a couple.
Yeah, I think they did.
Well, that was the first Gustav. So you remember we got 2 shipments of Gustavs. We got the very first one. I think there was only one for the company.
Yeah, because I used to have to go to the other squad. Damn, I forgot this. I used to have to go to the other platoons and be like, "Hey, let me get the Goose. We're going out and we're going to use it." And they would give me all the rounds and the equipment for it and whatever. And then
and that was before we got the class for it.
Yeah,
and then we had some incidents with it where we pointed out that we probably weren't very well trained with it. Then we got the formal class.
Well, the reason we were in the class is because somebody, we won't call him out by name, so I don't want to publicly shame him, even though he should be. We got into a firefight, and he sent the Gustav into Pakistan.
Not literally into Pakistan.
Not literally into Pakistan, but he missed his
high angle and very far in that direction.
We all missed Gustav shots, okay?
Probably 50 or 60 feet, man. I mean, it was a shouldn't have missed it that badly.
Yeah.
So we got sent to this training, and then I don't know how I got lucky enough to get stuck with the Goose, but maybe because in the training, maybe I did well. I don't know.
I think they just picked random people.
Yeah.
I think it was just hey, you're going to do this. And I think because they told me I was going to be the NCO for it, like for our squad, that they grabbed people out of my team.
Well, I think they probably wanted, they probably needed somebody that wasn't going to completely fuck it up.
Yeah.
Do you want me to ruin this for you, Luke?
Yeah,
probably because you weren't carrying a mine detector or a saw.
Yeah. I mean, I wish they picked someone else. I hated carrying those rounds, man.
I love carrying those rounds.
Heavy,
as long as that's the
dude.
only thing I carried.
Yeah, but that's never the only thing I carried. You know, like, oh my God. It was like, oh, you have all that other stuff. Here you go. Here's 2 Gustav rounds at 15 pounds apiece. Yeah. And they take up your whole bag, you know?
That's why you do box jumps, Tom.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, dude. Oh, I forgot about that, too. Oh, man.
What's the story?
That was funny. That? So that's part of this story.
That was part of this mission. Okay. Yeah. We'll get to it later.
Well, yeah.
But yeah, it's a good preview. That's why you do box jumps.
Someone should have maybe taken
whether Curtis's degrading remark or my fluffing ego are right doesn't matter.
Right.
Yeah. Point is I was carrying the Gustav.
Yes.
On this particular mission, and we were pushing east in a file. And we took some contact, some light contact.
Yeah, it wasn't too far in either. I think we were only probably like 3/4 of a click. Yeah, maybe at most. And because we were in kind of like shallow grape rows at the time. They're probably like a couple feet deep. And I remember like they sloped down a little bit though. They were very oddly shaped. I think they were old grape rows. They weren't using them anymore. Yeah. Like it was an old farm or something. I remember we were all laid down in the trench and we took contact because I think Holt and Clark had just moved across the field and they started taking contact as soon as they got to the other side. And a couple other dudes were over there with them too. And it was the rest of us were on that side of it. And we got the goose ready and then got the targets lined up. And
help me remember, did we take a little bit of contact and there's kind of like a lull, and then we took
I don't know,
a little bit more heavier contact when they started hitting us, because they hit us from the east and the north, right? That first couple rounds.
At first, I think it was just from the north.
Was it?
Yeah, they were out by that shrine. There was a shrine that was like right off the road too. It wasn't really far off the road. It was probably like 200 meters off Hyena.
So the shrines, for people who weren't there, again, essentially they were the grave sites. So each village more or less would have these mounds, these dirt mounds where they would bury people, and they were they were cemeteries, and they were easy to spot because they would always have like flags and stuff like that on them, and little like almost like bunting or something on poles that would kind of fly in the wind. Yeah, but they were a pretty popular fighting position for the Taliban because they were elevated, so they could actually get a little bit of elevation on us.
And they were off limits.
Yeah, and they were theoretically off limits to us.
Yep.
So, it was a popular spot for them to use. So yeah, we started getting hit from the north. It was about 200 meters.
Yeah, something like 200 meters.
Like an AK and PK.
Yeah, it was AKs, and I think it was AKs mostly and stuff. Maybe some more stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. We started taking contact, and we were kind of stuck in that grape row for a little bit. And then, we got the word. Word came down the line, get that goose up.
Get the goose up. Oh,
and there you were in all your glory. Ready. You were ready to go. We got your round loaded up. You set your air burst, loaded it up. I remember we all stood up. And I remember I pointed, you knew where you were. I was just like, yeah, you're good that way.
Yeah.
Not that you could probably even see me pointing. I was just trying to do what I could to help you out. And then,
I remember kind of popping my head up because you were like, they're at the shrine. And I was kind of sticking my head up and being trying to get my bearings, before I hopped up there.
Yeah.
And I remember very, very clearly, not being that excited about it, because I was like, man, I'm really exposing myself.
Oh, yeah. Dude, we were incredibly exposed.
Because you had to stand up
standing up
fully. Yeah.
Fully, completely, just no. I think our shins were protected. Yeah, thank God.
And I just remember not being that enthusiastic about it, but you being the great man that you are, you weren't going to let me just stand up there by myself.
Oh man!
So you popped up with me, kind of pointed me onto that thing, and that was kind of accidentally made it the SOP for Goose to yell out Gustav, Gustav, Gustav. That way because everybody didn't know it was coming. For one. It was like an ID going off.
Oh, yeah. I remember bug people out. And the Afghans kept going behind us, remember? And we had to keep telling them, get out of here. Come on, shoot the goose stop.
You just had to catch them once. They wouldn't do it again.
Yeah, that's true. I probably wouldn't have been able to.
Yeah, right. Yeah, because for again, for our non-military audience, the Gustav has a apparatus in the back, kind of a conical shape. It's called a Venturi, and there's like a lever and a little thing that you breach to open it and slide it in the back, kind of like a break action shotgun. You'd slide it into that tube and then close that Venturi on it. But all the concussive force of the energy that is used to expel this rocket out the front end goes out that back. The reason that it's a recoilless rifle is because all that energy is going out the back and not down into your body or into your shoulder or whatever. So it's like shooting a souped up potato gun.
I mean, that's exactly what it is. Yeah. It's a potato gun made by Lockheed Martin or whoever instead of
made by
Jimmy.
Saab.
It's
a
Saab, really?
Yes,
Saab
it's a Swedish weapon.
I did know it was Swedish.
Yeah,
I did know that.
It's Saab,
That's
like
weird.
the same Saab that makes yuppie cars. Yeah,
they even make Saabs anymore.
They do.
So you had to make sure your back blast area was clear, because if somebody, it would be not an exaggeration to say that if somebody's head was like behind that Venturi when the thing went off, it would turn
take it off later.
Soup, So you had to be really careful shooting it because you didn't want to fuck somebody up.
Yeah.
And so, we back blast area is clear, hopped up, and the sight on the Gustav, we actually got rid of the little like 3-time magnifier or whatever because we didn't really need it because we were always spotting within a couple hundred
meters.
It's
always close.
So I had, you had it dialed in for 200. We popped up and launched it. And like I said, I wasn't that enthusiastic about it, but then I shot the thing.
And then you're like, ooh.
And then I was like, ooh. And then I watched that round go out. And it went out leveled, but then it kind of just went rised up because it was set for that airburst. So it kind of rised up and then right on top of that shrine. I mean, it was like you couldn't have ordered.
It's perfect. Perfect shot.
Shot out of a book, man.
Oh,
and I remember I watched it all. I didn't duck back down behind the grape rose. Like I sat there and watched it, and I was like, "That was awesome."
Yeah, hell yeah. Because I mean, how often as Joe Schmo infantryman, do you get to use a SF weapon, that they've been using for years and swear by? And it was cool, man. It was cool.
Yeah, it was cool, man.
It
was addictive to shoot that thing because you felt like you could actually do something with it.
Yeah.
I'm just like plinking around with my M4.
Too bad it gives you brain injuries.
It's a very specific situation where you see an enemy or whatever. What's that, Chris?
Said too bad it gives you brain injuries.
Oh yeah. Right. I think you're supposed to shoot it. I think you weren't allowed to shoot it more than three times.
Oh. That was the number they came out with, and I'm sure that was broken
in a day. I think it was.
I think it was period.
In a day.
Until you actually accumulate some sort of injury. It's 3 times.
Jesus.
Yeah.
That explains a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah, it does.
For sure. I think all of us involved,
So, we pretty much squished that first little round of firefights.
Yeah. For a moment.
For just a moment,
yeah.
What's interesting about this firefight, I'm being pretty quiet because I don't really have anything to add.
Yeah.
This was a fight in the front.
Yeah.
In the back, we were just like, okay, they're shooting at people. And it's when we almost got to the village, everybody got involved because it was basically 360-degree ambush at very short ranges. But most of the time, it was just like, okay, just then sit back in the grape run.
Well, you talked about it before, and I forget which episode it was, how it's like, we always walk in a file everywhere.
Yeah.
And when they're taking contact in the front, sometimes you're in the back and all I can do is sit there and eat grapes.
Yeah.
There's
nothing you can do.
Okay. And, you wait for the call to move, but I mean, you can't really do anything because you can't veer off the path. You can't run up front and help them because it hasn't been cleared.
Right.
Because all you're going to do potentially is create an even bigger mess.
Yeah.
So you have to kind of control that urge to go up and help someone, to help everybody else fighting up front, because you might cause another incident, which is going to pull them back from that and might compromise the squad.
Right.
So
we had birds on a short leash, and we had all these assets. I mean, if we didn't have air power, if we didn't have all this stuff, maybe we would have done more flanking maneuvers and stuff like that. But there's no reason to do it.
But even so, it's like, man, I'd be almost. That kind of make me nervous doing flanking maneuvers around there because just all the IDs.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's super high risk for no reward.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So what, get one guy that's going to run away anyway, probably.
Exactly. Yeah.
Whatever. Dude.
And I think that's why low crawl day. So the next phase of the day is how it earned its name.
Yeah.
But also exactly why it's a good indication of how we fought, because we were in that fight.
Yeah.
They were figuring us out. On my camera here. Yeah. So they started hitting us like that, and as we began to push further east, and they began to hit us more and more, essentially they kind of wrapped us into a little bit of an ambush there. So we had to get across that open field.
Yeah. Because of the open field going across. I remember we were all crawling. Because I was up front. You were right behind me.
I was right behind you. And like this is right after I shot the Gustav. And we were kind of working our way across. We were kind of down and squatted down. And then I remember very, very, very detailed. You looked back at me and you're like, they're going to be like, look at this stupid tall motherfucker. And as soon as you stood up, man, it was zipping past your head.
Yeah, dude. I felt it, man. As soon as we got out in that field, I was just like, I don't know. Because, I'm already a pretty tall guy. I'm 6'4", like 200 pounds. So I'm like a bigger dude, big target. But, you factor in all your gear, everything. You're probably looking like 6'7", 6'8", with your boots and your helmet on. And then you got to think I'm doubly as wide because now I have this huge bag on that probably weighs like 80 pounds, 100 pounds. And that's weighing me down. And this field was all mud.
Yeah.
It wasn't like a nice like meadow with flowers and nice compact earth or something. It was like just all chewed up and muddy and like ankle rolling territory, just all chewed up. And I remember they said we were very low and we were taking turns going across the field.
Yeah, and they started shooting at you, and that's when
one person went.
Low crawl day.
Another person went, and then I was getting ready to go, and I remember I said something like that, like dude, like I know as soon as I go, they're gonna see me and be like, oh fuck yeah, that's our target right there. Yeah. I think I got like a quarter of the way into the field, and it was just, it's crazy. I almost felt like I was in a movie, and the dirt was kicking up. I could feel them. I could like feel it going past my body. Feel the round going past me. And I remember running as fast as I could, like just trying to beat feet over to the next grape row. Because it was, that field was probably like 100 meters.
Yeah.
150 meters maybe. It wasn't super big. Probably looked bigger in our eyes because we're like, cross that. Oh my God.
Right.
But I remember just running, trying to run as fast as I could. And I got up to the edge of the grape row and I jumped. And I didn't realize that the grape row was like 12 feet deep, like straight down in the mud. And I jumped and I kind of like had some hang time when I jumped, and I was like, oh shit. And I boom, ate shit, like barrel in the mud, filled all the way up into the chamber, just filled with mud. For, like you said, the civilian listeners, is a monstrous no.
Yeah.
Always keep your barrel clean. And wasn't happening.
Don't worry, you had a chance to clean it out here in a few minutes.
Yeah, and I did. Yeah, I cleaned it out. Also cleaned it out the wrong way, but I did it. So.
The quick way.
Yeah. And
so you actually did. So you never actually crawled, did you? Because when you started taking, like when those
I fucking hauled ass. Yeah, I think you guys started because you guys were down. I was already up, and I was like, you know what, like I'm committed. Like I'm going. That's it.
I guess technically it wasn't a low crawl; it was more of a high crawl. But we were crawling, and I just remember like, fuck, this sucks, man. Like it was just to have to crawl across that field. Man. And I just remember thinking, okay, like I'm close enough now. It's probably 20, 30 meters from now. I'm just gonna take my chances, and I popped up and just bolted. And I did the same thing you did. I think I took a big sailing leap.
Yeah. I was sitting down there, and I was just like, like fuck, that was ridiculous. And I hear you coming, and I look up, and you're just like, you jump, and you're like, oh shit, boom, eat shit. And then another dude behind you's running, jumps, oh shit, you fell in, and we are all just sitting there. I remember we all sat there. I forget who else was with us, but we all sat there and we all looked at each other, and like we just started cracking up. We were just like, oh my God, I can't believe that just happened. Because I think you guys said, I remember you told me afterwards, you were like, because you said you'd got up and ran because you thought I got shot.
Yeah.
And you thought I got hit and fell down into the grape row. In all reality, I just fucking ate shit jumping down into it.
Yeah, because I saw you were vertical, and then all of a sudden you were just like, whoop, gone. Like gravity did its work. I was like, oh fuck, like I hope Tom's not hit, man.
But I remember then we were all down the grape row, and we were sitting there laughing for a minute, lighting up cigarettes and what do you do when you're de-stressing, decompressing. And then they started shooting at us down the grape row, and that's when we got in that four-sided ambush. That was kind of scary because they're close.
Bad.
They were.
That was the last one before we got into town, right?
We had one more right before we got into town.
Okay.
Yeah, because that was when we went into the sticker bushes. Remember?
Oh yeah, I remember
that was bad. Yeah,
but this one was really bad because at that point our file had like worked its way into this ambush.
Yeah, and we totally walked right into where I think they wanted us to, because we had a dude very like 10 feet, 15 feet, two dudes right on the other side of that grape row. And then we had the dude. There was still a dude alive from where we shot the Gustav, and he was shooting some rounds at us. But there was also dudes to the east, and they were shooting. They were the ones shooting down the grape row. Yeah. So we were in a bad spot, because we pushed to each side. That's all you could do is just hug the dirt against and like hope like the grape leaves are going to stop the AK rounds, And coming right down the middle, Sergeant Bally was throwing hand grenades.
Well, the guy that hit us on the south side, that wall, there's two guys rather. I mean, they were so close. I mean, that Bally, that front element where they were on the outside of the grape row, they just turned to burn, man. I mean, and I remember like the grape row was so tall that I was trying to get in the fight, but I was holding on to some grapevines. You couldn't see. And I was trying to like pull myself up so that I could get my weapon up, because it always bugged me, man, when guys would blind fire, because it's just dumb, it's dangerous, it's unprofessional, And so I tried. I never did.
I did that day.
I did that day because I never did it, but I did that day.
But dumb, you're dangerous and unprofessional.
But the thing with even though you can't really do traditional infantry doctrine stuff, it's near ambushes. You charge into the ambush because they're so close that you might as well, because if you stand there, you're going to die. Right. So we had to kind of do whatever we could do. I remember I was one of the only ones that could reach, and Bally was chucking hand grenades. I literally had my M4 like this. I was just squeezing rounds off as much as I could. A lot of people were doing it because
I just laid it up on that grape row and just started shooting, man, because they were so close. I was like, we gotta get rounds onto those guys.
And also too, I mean, you never know how many people it is. You never know how many people are shooting at you, and you don't want them to move in too close. So, I mean, we didn't have a lot of choices. We kind of had to go against a lot of like doctrine stuff there. I mean, and same thing for the whole deployment. It was very, very atypical, deployment. So, but we got through that. Kept pushing into the town. Yeah, crossed that road. Avoided a unnecessary BDA. And pushed towards the village. I remember we got close to the village and we took a little bit of contact. It wasn't like
pop shots.
Yeah, it was a couple rounds
from the north, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it was from the north, I believe.
So at this point, my experiences are starting to meld into your guys', is because we were a little bit more scrunched up. The field that we were in that second to last gunfight was big enough for us all be not in the same exact row, but like we were one row over, but still in the same fight.
Yes.
So it was starting to, like, the experience was starting to centralize at that point.
Yeah. We all kind of got together. We weren't as spread out.
Right.
The train opened up a little bit. Because I remember we pushed up a little bit when we took the pop shot, and the area we pushed up into to take cover ended up being a bunch of sticker bushes. Yeah. So we ended up just kind of jumping in some sticker bushes right when we took contact, and it was awful. All dinged up, scratched up, poked, and shortly after, we ended up pushing into the town, and we found it was one dude and a kid, and I think there's a few other Afghans there or something. And we X-sprayed everyone.
There were a decent number of people in that town for it being a town that we had just got shot at from.
Yeah, because we had gone in and we saw those two, and then people started coming out.
Yeah,
was after that because they heard us come into the town. And it was weird because some of them tried to act friendly and this and that, like the whole, you want tea and this and that. And it's like, did we just get shot at from over here? Like, why, you're going to give me tea? Like,
I remember feeling very
uneasy.
Yeah.
I didn't like that. I didn't like being in there, and you just knew that it was like
we fought too hard to get in there for it to be so chill when we got there. If there'd be people there, it's like, what?
Yeah,
what's going on here?
Weird, just real strange. I remember we X-sprayed everyone because we had like 2 X-spray kits. And we were going through a bunch of people, and the only ones that came up for gunpowder was that one dude we saw initially and the kid.
Yeah. His son, right?
Yeah, it was like his son or his nephew.
It was
his nephew.
He was like 8 years old, man.
Yeah, he was young.
He wasn't like
he wasn't
a kid. He was a
kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was a child.
And it wasn't like, maybe he just touched it or maybe he was just near it. Like, when you do those X-ray kits, you always usually do cheeks and hands.
Yeah.
And cheek and hand, because when you're holding the AK, buttstock's in your shoulder, and where's your cheek?
Yeah.
It's on the weapon. So that you get some of that spray of the black powder from the rounds. And that's what you pick up on the X-spray kit. So people don't know what that is. That X-spray kit is the
it's like a series of chemicals.
Yeah, they use it in airports. Like you'll see it in airports. Like I actually had, when I went to Hawaii, someone X-sprayed coffee that I brought with me to make sure it wasn't explosives. I bought like Kona coffee and brought it home with me. Yeah. So that it's a series of like litmus tests, and each of these, the spray will react a different color if it's a certain compound. So they do like homemade explosives, gunpowder, a few other things they can do. But yeah, they came back. I think it's pink was for gunpowder residue. Pink or blue, I don't remember. Yeah, it was just really shocking.
Mm-hmm.
Because you hear about it, and you hear about it from like other conflicts and stuff. And then, you obviously see the whole child soldier thing. And it's just kind of shocking to see that. Like I remember we didn't really know what to do.
Yeah.
And we didn't do anything.
We didn't. We
detained him.
Yeah.
I remember detaining him, but because what are you going to do? I mean, it's a kid, man.
Well, we weren't allowed to detain anybody under a certain age.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I don't remember what that age was, but like it was like they could have been laying IEDs in your path, and you just be like, wow.
Mm-hmm. But even so, it's like, what do you do? I mean, it's like, I feel like at the end of the day, you end up creating more enemies than friends doing that.
Yeah.
Because it's very easy to spin. Look, the Americans are kidnapping kids.
Yeah, right.
And then at the end of it, also too, it's like, what's that kid going to think when he's, locked up? He doesn't know any better.
He doesn't know what he was doing. He do what Dad told him to do.
Exactly.
Uncle Larry down the street gave him $20 to do.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to understand the consequences of what he's doing.
No. Yeah, so I remember that, and that was pretty eye-opening, though.
Yeah.
It was a very eye-opening experience.
That was a big day. It was a good day because everybody got out in one piece somehow.
Yeah, and the exfil is like a whole nother story, man.
Yeah, maybe found a cache, took more contact.
Well, the big reason why we were slowed down so much and we took as much contact as we did on the way in is we had an Army dog handler who decided that he was going to try to quit in the middle of the mission.
Yeah,
we were moving at a pretty decent tick. We probably would have missed out on one or two of those firefights if we managed at our normal pace. But we were stopped and slowed down several times.
That's right.
Because he was like, my ankle hurts. I need to be medevac. Like, well, there's no medevac, man.
Yeah, not for your old ankle, dude.
Yeah, and so he would stop and he got on the ground, take his helmet off, and was milking it, trying to like slow this whole thing down.
Because I remember that, because Bally.
Yeah, Bally almost took his head off.
Losing it on him. He was like, because they're the same rank.
Yeah.
And he's like, you better get up and do your job.
Right.
Like you don't have a choice. Once you walk outside that wire, you're in. Until you walk back in that wire.
Well, it's like, look around. Where's the medevac going to land, man?
Yeah.
There's
like
nothing here for you.
You're going to risk the lives of what's on medevac? Like 6 dudes on medevac helicopter? You're going to risk 6 dudes and a multi-million-dollar piece of equipment and maybe more because you're scared.
Which is essentially what it was.
Yeah,
I mean, his ankle, you know how we knew his ankle was fine is when that boy was getting shot at.
He ran.
He was running.
Yeah, he ran.
Yeah. He hauled ass.
It's funny too. I remember that now. And you say that, you're bringing that memory back. Because I remember Bally looked back at me and he's like, yeah, ankle. Fucking pussy. And I was like, it's bullshit. But
I mean, we have a pretty strict policy on this show of not really calling people out. But I mean, and I'm not going to call you out by name, but it's just, when you represent a community like the military working dog community, or and you're working with units like us in the kind of environment we're working on, like, man, you just gotta suck it up.
Yeah, you gotta
everyone's got a
yourself.
Sprained ankle. I mean, I'm sure you jumped 12 foot down into a crate bro. Everyone's had sprained ankles.
Like, I don't care about your sprained ankle.
Yeah.
Unless it's like huge and black and blue and you legit can't walk, then I'm like, all right, like, well, let's get you out of there.
Let's get you out of there. But I mean, you also got to remember, it's like getting you out of there may not be what you're hoping for. It may be that we're going back the way we came.
And I don't think anyone ever, our whole deployment, begged for a medevac. Even the guys that lost their legs never were like, call the bird, please. They were worried about us.
Yeah.
So
that just goes to show the consequence of asking for something like that.
That goes to show a lot of our guy's character versus this individual's character.
I hope he learned something from it going forward and, became better. But I know that it followed him through his career, probably to the end of it, to be completely honest. Because once when Kitching was out on that mission, man, You think he didn't call back to that kennel and said, "Hey, man"?
And who does he know? You know what I mean? He knows like a lot of people.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
a lot of big people.
You know, I'm sure that was not something that went unspoken about. You know?
Yeah,
absolutely. And Kitchen's a very well respected guy, so you know they're going to take his word for it.
Yeah,
you know,
he's even if he wasn't, he's the company commander.
Yeah,
man.
he's company commander.
You know, you went down there and you were 8 up on a patrol with the company commander, and you put his guys at risk. No, man, you're done.
Yeah.
So on our way back out, it's mostly uneventful. A couple more little pot shots, nothing too crazy.
I just remember it being so tired.
Yeah,
so exhausted. I remember the whole preface for the mission was, all right, guys, we got an easy day.
Yeah, right.
It's going to be short. We'll be back by like noon. We're going to have lunch in the chow hall. Like, and like all this, like just totally like half our way is bulldozed for us because of the dozers. And
I'm not even sure we made it back for dinner chow.
No, dude, we didn't get back until
it was dark when we got back.
It was literally, we were walking up the long freaking hike, which is the exact thing you want to do after you've been patrolling all day, is hike uphill for like fucking 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And you know, you're walking up the path to the outpost, and it was dark. I remember it was dark because I was seeing people walk around in PTs, and like, you know how it was when you come back from mission.
I remember that distinctly, actually, because we went in the back way.
Yeah.
Because usually you take the long way all the way around. It's like you and me and somebody else like, fuck this.
Yeah, like
we took the shortcut.
Yeah.
Because you could either walk really, really long and it was gradual and it would take you all the schoolhouse, or you can make an immediate left. You could walk up one painful set of stairs, and then you were in the building.
And you were done.
And
you walked up like kind of where our third platoon's like area was. It was like kind of some weird cutty area you could squeeze in.
And we're just like, no, it's over. Let's just get this done and over with.
I remember seeing everyone in PT, and because you know how it is when like you come back from mission and you see people in PTs and it's been a rough one. You're just like,
you're so angry,
even though they've probably done like they were probably on a crazy mission earlier. You're just like, you fucking asshole, like PTs, like fuck you, you know. And like I remember seeing people in PTs and I was just like, I was like, I fucking hate all of you. Like,
well,
go put your multi-cams on right.
The way back from that one is where it's like they shot at the rear element as we left.
Yeah. So they chased us. They chased us back.
So that was when like me and Perez, Sergeant Ott, the guys in the back. That's where we got our shooting in on that.
Because I was throwing. I mean, I remember turning around and just throwing 40 Mike back towards that village.
Yes. Because as soon as we were like out of immediate eyesight of like the western wall of that village or eastern wall, western wall of the village.
Yeah.
That's when we started. It was all pop shots, so it was never anything sustained. And then I switched out with Clark because Clark was smoked, man. He was absolutely devastated.
Yeah.
As he should have been.
Yeah.
And I can't remember why he cleared for the little bit out. I think it was just to get out of the village, and then we swapped. And then I went.
Clark almost caught a couple rounds that day too.
He did. Holt had to pull him back from a wall, and as soon as he pulled him back, that was when we were in that 4-sided ambush. And as soon as Holt pulled him back from the wall, like 3 or 4 rounds, impacted the wall right where his face was. So I mean,
Clark had a rough day so far,
to say the least.
Yeah.
Right?
And then I got the Mine Hound, and I was pretty well rested, but everybody was tired.
Yeah.
And we were going, and the terrain coming back was a little bit harder than the train going out for the first half of it or whatever, until we got to Adam's Eye at least.
Yeah.
Because it was real jungle. It was real deep crepe roads, in and out of canals. And I got smoked, man. Like you were up there with me.
Yeah.
You know, which we'll talk about more about like us clearing together later. But I was just absolutely devastated to the point like that was the very first mission where I was like, I hope I step on one.
Yeah.
Like literally just hoping that I would step on one because I knew if I step on one, I'm going home. You know, I don't have to keep walking.
Yeah.
And that's when I was like, I'm going to walk in the creek. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And about 3/4 of the way back, I was like, I'm fucking done, man. I was completely smoked.
Yeah.
And the only other person they had to clear was Clark. And he was mad about that.
Yeah.
he was unhappy about that. And we're good. We're cool now.
Yeah.
But we were not cool.
I think a lot of people were kind of on edge after that mission because everybody was tired and everybody was just not in a good mood because because sometimes you go out in a mission, you get in a firefight, and it's like, I don't want to say fun. It's
kind of jovial, yeah.
But it's like, especially if you kind of like win. You're in a good mood. We didn't win that day. That was a solid L for us. Yeah. And I think that's one thing people don't realize is that like we don't always go out and win these firefights. Like we go out and lose and leave sometimes too. Yeah. We might call an air later, But like we got in there and we left quick. We kind of with our tail between a little, we were getting out of there.
Yeah.
Because we were in a bad spot. They could hear the shooting and they knew we were there and we were pretty deep in. It was rough country and it wouldn't have taken much for us to get surrounded and overwhelmed easily because we were tired, low on ammo. I was out of 40 Mike. I think I only had like 2 or 3 mags left.
Yeah, we were a vulnerable element coming back. And we had, part of that route back, we kind of took that bulldoze route, so we kind of have a little bit of a clear entrance for the first click.
Yeah.
And then it was in and out of Grape Rose, but as we would come to find out later, going in and out of Grape Rose was probably the fastest way to move.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we had to go somehow circumnavigate the town of Adam's Eye. It's a pretty decent sized collab with the school, and there's no way to do it.
No.
Quickly. You either have to push through it, which is an extremely high IED threat. You have to cut to the south, which you'd have to go very far south and cut between Adam's Eye and Sparewan and then cross over to Brown.
Yeah.
And then you're giving a defilade of fire to the people to the east. So you got this long line of soldiers that are lined up for you. And if you're in like Salam Khan or Southern Sketcher, you're like, hell yeah.
Yeah.
It's a shooting gallery.
Yeah. Like, oh, look, they came here, idiots.
Yeah.
Like,
So you don't want to like walk north to south along the east end of Adam's Eye. So you either have to go, we had to go through it.
Yeah.
That was the only way to safely and quickly get through. Otherwise, we were going to go back north towards where we came, which was super high IED threat.
Because that was the initial plan, was to go back north.
Yeah.
And then it switched out to go by the Adams Eye School.
Yeah. And so we had to go into Adams Eye School to clear. That was like a side mission, like a side quest.
Yeah,
Side quest.
500 gold.
Right, yeah. We got 500 gold for seeing if they were still building IEDs out of desks in Adams Eye.
Yeah.
Plus one freaking
Plus 1 intrigue.
Endurance or something. And we went in. I don't even think everybody went in. I mean, like 4 or 5 of us went in. We walked around like, yep, they're still cutting up desks to make pressure plates. And went back out the way we came. And once we we crossed the road. I can't remember where we crossed, but we crossed the road very deliberately.
Yeah.
And then we were home free at that point. But it was, gosh, man.
A long day.
Very
long day. And I remember just the way out too was just up and down, up and down, up and down.
Yeah.
Non-stop. It wasn't flat. There was no flat sections. It was legit.
Yeah.
Until we got to Brown, it was Grape Rose.
Yeah.
And we were already smoked.
And canals and walls and school.
Yeah. I remember, I think everyone like ripped their pants that day, because you know how reliable those things were. As soon as you got them a little wet and stepped up, your dick and balls were hanging out.
And it was an act of fucking Congress to get another pair of pants.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, and what happened to all your pants?
Well, all the time.
All my pants are ripped from my crotch to my knee, so
right.
I guess everyone's gonna look at my penis
for
the rest of the deployment.
Or
Sorry,
my combat underwear or whatever.
But
Luke kind of nails it on the head. Like it's an iconic mission. We've talked about it way longer than we probably talked about any other mission on this podcast, and it's because every aspect of it is iconic. It's the movement, it's the type of contacts, it's we call in the birds and then they're there for 5 minutes and this contact stops. We move, we get shot at again. Like it's the high IED threat forcing us into odd areas. Or
I think the only thing we didn't hit that would be like just very particular to the combat net area is just hitting an IED.
We didn't.
That's like the one thing we didn't do. Everything else we hit.
Yeah, thank God.
Yeah,
could you imagine?
Icing on the cake, right?
Yeah.
But I was
the only thing.
I'll tell you, I was praying for one. When I was clearing, I was like, please God, just let me step on one. 5 pounds or less, I'll take it.
Yeah, it's crazy how your mind goes there.
Yeah.
When you're in that kind of scenario. Because I was talking to you about it the other day. You get to the point where you just don't even care anymore. Because you can't. Because if you do, you'll lose your mind.
Yeah.
Because you'll think about all the ways you could eat it in the next 5 minutes. It's like, just going like, you know what? Like, fuck it. What am I going to do? Die? Whatever.
Yeah.
And then you think, the civilian side, you tell that to the baker down the street, they're going to be like, oh my fucking God, this guy's nuts. Like, you need to go get some help.
Right.
But
what's interesting for you is, you showed up about 3 months in.
Yeah. Like 3 months.
Yeah. So we were kind of starting to get to the point where we were there, like, fuck it, whatever, I don't care. And it was still, some of the experiences were pretty new and fresh to you and fun. Like you said, like firefights are fun.
Yeah, they can be. As long as you win, no one gets hurt. Yeah,
It's like, what was it like to be a team leader / squad leader at one point, and like being in charge of all these guys that have been that had kind of like a 3 month head start.
It's
on
hard,
you.
And I feel like you can come into it 2 ways, and you can either come into it and just assert dominance. I am the beat my chest. I am the sergeant. But I didn't want to, I'm not that kind of person in the first place. So the other way that I did it was I came in and I kind of like, I just wanted to go with the flow.
Yeah.
I didn't want to come in and fuck your guys' shit up. I didn't want to come in and change anything you guys were doing, because like I'm new. Like, yeah, I might be an E5, but you as, an E1, anyone that was an E1 or E2 there, they know more about what's going on there than me.
Right.
So they know more. Just because I'm a sergeant doesn't make me smarter.
Right.
I'm just put into that position. I'm supposed to learn from everyone. You're supposed to be an open book and take information from everywhere you can get it. So like, so it was hard. It was a little intimidating coming in to, Sperwingar, knowing everything that was going on, knowing that you guys were going through some shit, and you could just, and you know how you look at someone's face and like they've been going through some shit, because you just see the look in their eyes and stuff, and just like, you guys look worn out,
right?
And so I just wanted to tread lightly. I didn't want to come in and do anything but kind of just absorb what you guys were doing and learn what you guys were doing, and that's what I do with Holt. I literally was like, teach me like what's going on, and he only had a little bit more experience than me,
like a week
there. But it was, like I said, it was kind of difficult coming in, but you guys were very receptive. I think, I'm sure some of you guys didn't know who the hell I was at first and were like, oh, that guy's a dick or something. Like, I don't know.
We had no idea.
And
I think it actually was kind of benefit you came from another battalion, because there was nobody's like, oh yeah, man, he was in 2nd platoon in Alpha. I heard he was a dick. Like, no one even knew. There's no frame of reference for you or Piper. It's like, I don't know. They want to be here, so I guess that's cool.
Yeah.
And that's all we really knew, is that you volunteered to be there. And I know one thing I appreciate, I'm sure Luke would agree, is that you were adaptable.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
We very quickly abandoned this whole, like, there's 4 guys in a team and a team leader and 9 guys in a squad, and that's the way it's always going to be. It's like, no, it's like, like we were talking about last night, the only constant was I cleared and you were on my ass. Yeah. Other than that, Luke might have been walking out with, Holt's team carrying the Gustav or carrying a 240, or, Perez might have been on loan to Ninsa squad with a saw. I mean, it was always interchangeable. Like, everything was different all the time. Yeah. And I've always considered Clark a teammate, but he really wasn't. He's just my roommate.
And it's crazy because, like, as tight as we are, like our squad and everything like that, like, I can't tell you who was in my fire team except for you. Yeah. I really can't until I sit down and really and I remember Coffee being in my team at some point, but I remember you like in and out. Yeah. Pfeiffer, same thing, in and out. And it was like he would, Curtis is only constant because we were on the clearing team together.
And that's one thing I really wanted to talk about, was the clearing aspect.
And that was another thing in its own, being a new NCO, because I was only there for about a month when Clark and Holka hit by the IED.
Yeah.
And it's like I never cleared before then. They always cleared.
Right.
I knew how to do it, an idea, but I had never done it on a mission, because they always wanted to do it because it was their job, and when they got hit, they were like, here you go. Yeah. And I'm like, and I mean, and you guys have talked about this, and other episodes that will come out, they'll talk about it, I'm sure. But like, that was like a pretty traumatizing experience, like the clearing team just disappeared in front of your eyes.
Yeah.
And then now it's oh, your turn, and you're just like, oh man, dude, like it's a very heavy weight to be placed on you.
Yeah.
And especially guys like you who were there longer than me and had been doing this longer than me. I was new and I kind of felt the weight, so I can't even imagine what some of the other guys were feeling.
Yeah. Well, no, especially in regards to you. I mean, your mentality towards the clearing was always, if you go, I go. I can't tell how many times you said that to me. I know Holt said it to Clark all the time too. And that was one of those lessons that was learned from the passing of Corporal Luxmore, was that we can't leave that guy up there undefended.
Yeah.
Without somebody watching his back, without somebody watching for a guy around a corner.
Yeah.
Plus, you need to tell me where to go.
Yeah.
We can't hear shit.
No.
So it's just like one of those things. Like, it wasn't one person really taking the risk of mine detecting. Yeah, I was operating the equipment, but you were always at much risk as I was. And that was something that, from the beginning caused us to respect you, is that you were willing to take every bit of the risk that we were.
But you can't tell someone to do something you're not willing to do.
Well, you're not supposed to.
But people do it. And they do, and it's not okay. Like, people forget that you were once in that spot where that would be you doing the mine sweeping. And at the same time too, it's like, I can't leave you hanging, just dick in the wind. Like, like, how are you going to defend yourself, you know, and how are you going to know where you're going?
Right.
You know, because I have to tell you where to go
and
everything too. So it's like a combo of things, but I'm also, you know, we're me and you, I mean, you and I are a team.
Right.
That transcends, you know, that's not the same as, you know, being on the fire team or me being like a squad leader or team leader or whatever. Like, it's you and me and that's it. Like, we're the team.
Right.
So we're partners and we're going to get through this like together or not at all.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think that whole dynamic with clearing and having individuals that were clearing, and then.
Because we didn't really even like, it wasn't even really like a rank thing either at that point either. It was just like, hey, dude. Or you would even say to me like, hey man, like this kind of sketch, can we go this way? And like, yeah, sure. You know, I'm not going to force you to do something because you're in front of me. Regardless, even though I'm close to you, you're right in front of me.
Yeah, I don't want you to be mad at me while you're walking down this road doing a half-ass job sweeping.
Exactly. So like, it got to the point where we weren't even doing a rank thing. It was like, hey dude, hey man, hey dude, hey man, I don't fucking care, dude.
Yeah.
You know, like.
Well, I think that's why you meshed so seamlessly with us, is because you knew better, but also you were great synthesizer between us and higher up. So like whatever was coming down the pipeline from Bally, who could be a fucking asshole sometimes.
Yeah.
I'll call
You'd
him
be
out.
a little abrasive.
Yeah.
You know,
I'll call him out.
I love him to death, man. But yeah,
I mean, I've
he
actually
could be a little abrasive.
Doing this podcast, I've come to kind of reappreciate him a little bit more. But it's just like, you know, between Bally and whatever else is going on, but you were on the radio. And you had the little Dell smartphone with the map on it. So you were a great facilitator for us, which is exactly what we needed, especially when you came to us. Because you said we had that experience. And then you obviously gained plenty of experience with us, you know?
Yeah, because I remember not knowing what the fuck's going on. And you're like, what are we doing? What are we doing? And like, for some reason, it's a big secret. And it's like, why is it a big secret? Everyone deserves to know what the hell's going on. It's helpful. Because now you as the Saw Gunner know what our mission is. You as the Rifleman know what our mission is. So,
well, and I think that's it's telling that we had a good approach to that as a platoon, because you talk to guys that were PFC. I mean, I was a PFC on that deployment. You know, a lot of the guys were private specialists.
But you're an adult.
But they know so much about what we were doing, even from a strategic side. Like, we went to this village to do a Shura, to talk to this guy. We're looking for this. A lot of units, especially like, you know, Bragg and 101st, like, no, they don't do that for their Joes. It's like, hey man, go grab your saw. Doesn't matter. Don't ask questions. It's not your job to ask questions. It's your job to pull security. And they were like, oh, okay. When they went on missions, they never even knew what they were doing it for.
Exactly. And that's not the right answer.
No,
you're supposed to, I mean, one of like the biggest things is keeping your guys informed.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. Let them know what's going on.
I mean, they don't need to know every minutia of detail.
But if you ask me, I'll tell you, because it's not some big frickin', you know, I'm not going to be telling you that there aliens exist or I'm not safeguarding where the, you know, Noah's Ark is hidden and wherever, you know, or something, you know.
If you subscribe to our Patreon, though, we will tell you where the aliens are.
Yeah, they're in Cleveland.
They're in Cleveland.
And the Ark of the Covenant is in that big crate in that warehouse.
Yeah.
According to a guy that I know who knows a guy who carried the football for George W. They're in Cleveland. I'll have to tell you that story sometime.
Yeah, man.
Exclusively on the Patreon.
Yeah, on the Patreon. on your OnlyFans.
Yeah.
Subscribe, $6.99.
We're just gonna scrap the Patreon and go straight to an
OnlyFans. All over.
It's all shirtless pictures of Tom Evans. So.
Yeah. I'm sure Matthew Pfeiffer would gladly subscribe to that.
Got like 18 subscriptions from 12 different variations of email addresses.
Matthew Pfeiffer 1.
Matthew Pfeiffer 2. Matthew Pfeiffer 3.
Love you, Betty.
Oh, man.
So as we pushed on through the deployment, you know, we spent a lot of time clearing. You know, there's a lot of things we're not going to talk about because they've been talking about. You know, Clark, Perez, which obviously were very shaping events in the deployment. All kind of leading up to your eventual departure from the deployment, which was Throat Chop, or Ghalra Sook, if we were going with the politically correct and official name of the mission.
What? So one thing I want to ask you about, Tom, was there was a day when we kind of accidentally stumbled into that Taliban stronghold that we went back for and cleared a Throat Chop.
That's what actually started Throat Chop.
Yeah,
that's what gave them the reason to do it.
Sure,
because so that mission was we had got a mission to go check out a compound that they were using to spray rounds at convoys going down Hyena.
Yeah, and our sniper section had gotten into like a counter sniper fight with someone
in that area.
And thought maybe they'd hit him, but we went there to exploit.
Yeah.
So they were like, yeah, we hit the guy. We know we hit the guy. And that's when they're like, well, you got to go to BDA and go check it out. That's what I remember. I don't know if that was
part of it or what. That I don't remember.
Yeah.
But the only thing I do remember for sure is the AK. There's somebody with a weapon shooting at Brown at Hyena.
Yeah.
And they pretty much had it pinpoint to that general area. And the only thing in that general area was like that. It was almost like a quadplex.
Yeah.
You know, it was weird. It was like four buildings, almost a perfect rectangle. And I remember the last compound was like a little fatter. It was like kind of a little bit bigger, but the rest of them were pretty much the same size. A bunch of hay and whatnot behind it. And we were down on the road. I wasn't even with the squad. It was just me and Dennis and everybody else. I think our squad was manning the trucks that day. We were down on a wall, and we were trying not to like kind of. We didn't really want to make our presence super known because the trucks were like up the road. We were in kind of a questionable area. This is like getting towards the end of the deployment where we had been in like a bajillion firefights at this point. So we were kind of like, you know, there's not that many of us. Let's try and keep a low profile while we check out this potential firing position. Cause like, who else knows? Like, maybe there's other stuff in here. Maybe there's other dudes in here right now. Like, let's try and play this carefully.
Well, this is also right next to where Holt, Clark, and I
hit that IED. Yeah, it was right off
right
that road.
there.
It was like right there. It was right around the bend, like 200 meters down.
This was a super sketchy area. I mean, the Kiowas gotten a lot of engagements back there before. That was where 3rd Platoon got into a gunfight. And,
they got one that day, too.
Yeah, and they shot the cop.
Yeah.
They got into a gunfight because they were hanging out with ODA doing something. They were building that checkpoint.
Yeah.
And they shot a 50 cal onto Spare One guard.
Yeah, I remember it lodged in the door.
Yeah, lodged in the door. And this was like
platoon
6 click away or something. Yeah. Like, there had been a lot in there. And this is right in between. There's like Sketcha and Najat, and then there's this big open area in between them, and then that's in the middle of this big open area. There's this like cluster of compounds by itself.
Yeah,
and I mean, as we would come to find out, it was essentially a Taliban.
Yeah, it was a cop.
Yeah,
yeah. So we were taking, we were trying to take like an easy approach to getting there. We were trying to find the best way to get in, because it was just weird.
Yeah,
we had weird vibes, weird feeling
Very
about
weird
it.
Day.
But I remember sitting against the wall. And I had everybody else. I think I had taken one of the teams from their squad, and I was their team leader. And Dennison was still.
He was brand new.
He was he had been there for a little bit. I think like a couple weeks, maybe like 2 weeks, a week.
I mean, his first mission was when Perez got shot, and this when we did throat chop October 4th, so it couldn't have been more than 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah, it wasn't
very
too much.
Close. Yeah.
But he was kind of how you guys were talking about how, you know, when I came in, I kind of took the hands off, like, learn. He was doing the same thing. He came in.
He was very good. Yeah.
He was awesome for that, especially because he outranked me, and he could have came in
and stick around,
been like, fuck you, you're not the squad leader anymore. Like, you're going back to the team leader and you do what I say. Like, but he wanted to learn what was going on. And that just, because he's a amazing leader. Yeah. You know,
he also really just wanted to shoot people.
Oh, hell yeah.
He was so stoked. I mean, he's like, just make me a rifleman. I don't
care. Yeah, exactly. He was just all about it. He just wanted to get out there and fight, dude. He's true Scotsman.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm surprised he didn't paint his face like white and blue and
we don't know that
charge out there with a kilt.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. He was actually from Scotland, right?
Yeah. He was born there. He came over when he was a kid.
Yeah,
that's what I thought.
It's like 8 or 9 or something like that. Yeah. But yeah, so we were sitting behind the wall, and Masmgar is watching us on the Peaches. And I remember them calling over the radio to Sergeant Ott, and then Sergeant Ott relaying to me, he's like, hey, you know, Masmgar is watching you on the Peaches. They want you to take a more aggressive stance on the wall and pull security and this and that, and like expose yourself pretty much to like the whole countryside, you know, to let you know, hey, we're here. What's going on? Come hang out. So I told him, I kind of snapped back on the radio real fast. I was like, well, you tell them that instead of watching me, why don't you watch this tree line over there? You know, like, why don't you do your job? And in a little bit more colorful language, I'm sure, because we were deployed, and like every other word I said was fuck. So
I remember hearing this transmission
on the radio, because it pissed me off.
Yeah.
And I mean, you guys have probably seen it a few times. I sometimes I'd let it run a little longer than I should have to the wrong people. So,
and in this case, you happened to be on the battalion net.
Yeah, I was battalion net, cussing out a lieutenant colonel, I think, Masmgar. But at the end of the day, and I mean, nothing happened from it, and he couldn't say anything because as soon
He's
as we
not
got up
there,
on the
man.
wall, we took contact like 5 minutes later. You know, and
there's a whole episode to talk about the effect of kill TV on warfare. The fact that there's always a drone or a blimp or something, and that people sitting back at the cop who are supposed to be delegating, these decisions to company commanders and platoon leaders are trying to swing their dick around, manage a fight that they're not even there for.
Yeah, and to be real with you, not too many people at Massengar left Massengar to get into combat. That was
never,
very rarely.
So they're watching on TV.
Yeah,
fucking peace balloons.
Yeah, pretty much. And then we pushed into that compound, or we were starting to, and as we were pushing across the road, which I mean, as we always know, is always sketchy.
Right.
Robbins stepped on a pressure plate on his birthday.
On his birthday,
but it popped. It just popped the detonator.
The detonator went off. Yeah.
The whatever it's called. The blasting cap.
Blasting cap. Yeah.
And man, dude, I remember I was sitting there with Mayo with. And we were kind of sitting in a grape row looking at each other, and it popped like 5 feet away from our face, you know, when he stepped on it, because we were sitting like right up against the road. And I remember after that popped, like I was just like, holy shit. I remember like I was just like, oh my God, like holy shit, I can't believe that just happened.
Yeah.
You know? And Robbins was just like you just saw a look on his face. And I remember Mayo looked at him, was like, happy birthday, dude. You know, and it was funny.
And low ordered, which for folks who don't know how all that works, a low order is basically when the explosion either doesn't go off or just like a small portion of it goes off, so it doesn't.
Yeah,
you don't get a big boom.
Yeah. So it didn't do any damage. It literally just knocked some dust up when he stepped on it.
Man,
so thank God for that shitty ball maker that day.
Yeah, right.
You know?
Yeah, that's because we'd already snatched up Najib.
Yeah. Right.
JV talent was out there.
Bring up the bench. Najib just got taken off the court.
I remember we pushed in there though, and it was pretty like eye-opening what they were doing in there. It was literally like you said, it was a Taliban cop. Like we walked in, and the first thing we found was like their aid station.
Yeah.
And there was like blood on the ground and like needles and IV bags and drugs, like all kinds of drugs are in there and stuff like that. So
they had just left, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Maybe like 20, 30 minutes before.
Yeah. Because that blood was fairly fresh. Yeah. You know, like it was like still bright red, just droplets on the ground. And like if you like moved your foot over it, like it smeared on the ground. Like they weren't that far out there, and there was brass on the ground. And it was funny because that's how we found the fighting position, because you could see right to route or to Hyena.
Oh yeah, Hyena.
And there was just like a bunch of brass on the ground. And then we pushed in more, and that's when we started finding all of the. That's when that last one, that wider compound at the end, was the IED factory, and they had all like the pots out there for mixing the HME and like all those jugs and a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
So I think when we found that. And we ended up taking contact that day too again, and the birds came down. I remember the Kiowas came down.
Yeah, they did
and
some
swooped
work
that tree line.
I think the Kiowas ended up smoking a couple dudes. That day.
Yeah, they got 3.
Yeah,
I remember they got 3 of them that day.
Because they were like in some high, like long grass. They were trying to hide from you guys.
They were in a couple trees. It was like a little tiny wooded area in the middle of a terrible spot to pick. Because it's like, where would they hide? That looks like a good spot.
And they had nowhere to go.
Nowhere.
If they left that like wooded area, they were totally exposed.
Smoked. Absolutely beat.
Well, and they were still smoked.
So. Oh, and they smoked anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Good sorry. Sorry, boys.
Yep.
Sayonara.
Till Valhalla.
Yeah.
But that was we did that day, and it was a real tragedy that somehow part of that compound caught fire and it all burned down. And I mean, it's just it's just real sad that ended up happening. And we had to watch that happen, and that was real traumatic. And then nothing really happened we didn't hear anything else about that for several days or weeks even. And then suddenly the words start coming down, like we're going to do this massive clearing operation. Yeah. We're going to go back in there because we think they've reoccupied it or whatever.
Yeah. Or that they also thought that there was more to it, because we only searched the very, very front, and then there was that whole section kind of like southeast of it.
And then there's a whole other village cluster to the south, which was basically like protected by that northern cop. Like there was that village, Objective Rachel.
Yeah.
And it was like a whole other it was a town. And the theory was they lived there.
Yes.
And that they were using the cop as like their fighting positions. And so that was kind of like the justification for it becoming like a company, or actually really it was a battalion mission, to basically clear that area.
Yeah.
And then somebody's bright idea to, well, while we're clearing that, why don't we just push west or push east and clear Najat too?
Yeah.
That was the origin of Ghalra Sook.
It just seemed like a good opportunity to kind of do a giant, probably like a last push operation before we left.
Yeah.
To push out the eastern side of our AO, because we never had an opportunity.
No.
You know, it was kind of, we did little onesies and twosies in there, you know, like
every time
let's go in real quick,
hurt.
and someone got hurt. And I think they knew that we couldn't really leave without trying to do that, because we swept to the west. You guys did. I didn't. I wasn't there for that.
Yeah.
But then, you know, can't leave the east because the east is wild.
Well, I mean, and also I'm sure in their minds it's like, can we really be fair to the follow-on unit if we didn't even try to clear part of our AO?
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
I don't agree with it. I think we could have probably left it be, but
yeah, 100%.
I get it.
100%.
I get it tactically. I don't get it logically.
Because I think at the end of the day, you know, so you're there to do, I mean, as much as it sucks, you're there to do a mission.
Right.
And as much as we care about each other, and people in the company, we all care about each other, like the people at the division and you know, army level, like they're like, nah, get that done. Like, you know, what's your you know, they're the ones that probably throw around that term, you know, acceptable loss and whatever. But to us, there is no acceptable loss.
No.
There's none. Nobody is acceptable for any of this. Because at the end of the day, too, it's, you know, we're doing the same thing we've been doing here for 11 years.
Right.
You know, like, I think our deployment itself is going to, you know, be the breaker of what's going on in Afghanistan. No, it's not. And not one person is worth that to us. But like I said, so the higher ups.
Right. I mean, they've got a list of priorities. You know,
exactly.
An incoming commander comes in, like, by the time I hand over, I will have done this, and this. You know, at the end of the day, like,
but I don't think anyone, and I don't think anyone that, you know, from our company level down wanted any of us to get hurt.
No.
Or wanted to lose anyone, but they had a mission they had to do.
Right.
Unfortunately. So,
I mean, I think even like the higher guys, if you
that's our job too.
Yeah.
So
if you had told them like, hey, there's 100% chance if you run this mission, a person is going to die. And you won't have accomplished it. And then I think if they knew 100% people were going to die, that they wouldn't run some of those missions. But at the same time, I was like, well, there's a risk. So, and you're always mitigating risk. That's everything every Army leader is constantly doing, is mitigating risk, filling out a risk assessment, you know. But anyway.
Long story short, we knew the reason we were going to the area for the mission. And so we came back from that mission. I think it was probably only like a couple of days later. I think it was like 4 days later, 3 days later.
Well, there was a first mission that was a prelude to Throat Chop.
That was the mission, I believe.
Was the one where we went in with, that was Lloyd carried his 60. We found the IED factory on the south end of Najat.
Yeah. Oh, that was a different one. Yeah, that's right. We did that right before.
That was like 2 days before Throat Chop.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was because we already knew about Throat Chop when we did that mission. We knew that we were going to do this mission. We were going to get like 1 day off to like relax, 1 day to prep, and then we were going on this 3 day. It was supposed to be a 3 day air assault.
Yeah.
Into Najat.
Yeah. So we did that little prelude mission, found the ID factory, and started gearing up for the air assault. And we started going we started gearing up for the air assault. The NCOs started going to the briefings and started talking about what we were going to do and what team was doing this, what team was doing that. And I remember our platoon was the actual, like, what's the word you look for? Like, we were the ones going in. We were the ones, the main effort going into the area where third platoon was going south to block for us, and headquarters was supposed to stay up on the road and block for us later in the day. And that we were going to insert by Chinooks and Blackhawks. I think it was second squad went in with a Blackhawk. I don't know if they came in with us on the Chinook. Because I think it was us and a couple dudes from third platoon came in on the Chinook. And then then there was like the dog handlers, EOD.
And they also did some false insertions too.
Yeah. They flew around, like drop people, pick people up, whatever. But yeah, they dropped. I remember when one of my most like vivid memories from that mission is when we were flying us in the Chinook. You know, we were waiting out on the pad for forever, waiting for this fucking Chinook to come pick us up. And we get in, it's dark, and we're flying over, and we go to land, and the ramp comes down for the Chinook. And it's just tall grass, doing this, waving around. And and the only thing I can think of, I'm like, dude, this looks like a fucking Vietnam movie. Like, this is crazy. Right. Like, getting out, and like you're like in the grass, and the grass is moving around, and the helicopter takes off, and like then like it's silent, and you're just in the grass, and you hear like
that was eerie.
The sounds of the valley, And then I remember I leaned back to say something to Dennison, and he was like, dude, it's like Vietnam. And I was like, yeah, wasn't it, dude? It's crazy.
And that wasn't a level field either.
No, it was all fuckered up. It was all
my memory of that is that Chinook just thump and jarring my freaking teeth, man. That was because it was pitch black and they're flying under nods, so obviously it's not going to be that smooth, but it has rocked.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and I remember we sat in that grass field for a while. We were waiting for the sun to come up because we moved up to the compound.
Because we couldn't enter a compound during nighttime.
It was something like that. I think we were just waiting for daybreak to blow the charge.
Right.
I think that's what they wanted to do because they wanted to start it. I think the culminating, like the pretty much the proverbial pistol in the air to start the race was us setting off that line charge.
Yeah.
And that was the key sign. If you didn't hear it on the radio, if you heard that charge, it was to start moving.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so me and Dennison, and there's one other guy there too. I forget who it was. I think it was someone from 3rd. We moved up to the wall, and we found like a nice little crack in the wall, and we had thrown the line charge through, and we were just sitting there waiting to blow this line charge. We were like peeking in to make sure nobody was grabbing it or something. And yeah, as soon as the sun started peeking up, I looked at Dennison, and I was like, all right, ready? And yeah, do it. Boom, blew it. And then off we went. And man, that was a long day.
Yeah.
And I remember we started in that corner, and then we just went south and just swept south through all these compounds.
We were just like hopping compound walls. We didn't even see a road for the first several hours. We were just able to go from compound to compound.
Yeah. Because me and Dennison were moving up, and we would look around and check shit out, and you were clearing for a while for the first half.
A little bit, not much, but a little bit.
And it got to the point though, there wasn't too much to clear. It wasn't really any paths. It was like, hey, can you clear like in this doorway real quick, or can you clear next to this wall real fast? Because like you said, we were up and over, hopping walls, like we were jumping fences, running from the cops or something.
It's a good analogy. It was like we were running through backyards trying to avoid the cops.
Pretty much, yeah. It's just up and over and searching compounds, and then that's when we started finding stuff. We find all those palm oil jugs, and we'd find a piece of brass or like one bullet, and you're like, oh, there's one bullet here. That's kind of weird. There's one AK bullet. There's probably more around. And,
I always got the impression they knew we were coming. They cleaned up.
I think they had an idea that after we had hit it the first time and then hit south the second time, that they probably pulled some of their stuff out. But remember, we also found some stuff too. Yeah. We found all the palm oil jugs. We found a lot of stuff that we had to destroy in place.
Yeah.
And that's why we burned it. We burned a lot of it.
Oh yeah.
But we had to, because you can't just leave 700 palm oil jugs in a shed. Like, what that's for.
Right.
And you not destroy, and you can't bring it with you, because what are you going to do? Like, oh God, I have all these jugs. You have to burn it.
Yeah.
So, we called up, got permission, we burned it.
Yeah.
And it didn't destroy any infrastructure or hurt anybody. We had to get rid of it, because if you don't, they're going to turn around and use it against Americans.
Yeah.
And kill us. So I remember when we lit it up, you heard stuff popping too. So there was bullets under there. There's rounds under there. There might have been explosives under there. It was blowing up when we burned it.
Yeah.
So
when we moved through those compounds, while we were doing that, second squad was on a rooftop. They had like a blocking position just to our southwest. Third platoon was clearing the village beneath us.
Yeah. And
they got in some stuff.
They took some shit.
Yeah.
Because I remember they were in some good ones, dude. Because I remember, long story short, after we'll get into that here shortly. We cleared up to the road, firefight, pushed in.
Yeah.
When I pushed in to link up with them, I remember Sergeant Morgan saw me, And he was like, he's like, you tall, goofy looking motherfucker. Like, I've never been so happy to fucking see you in my life. He was so happy to see us because they were in like a terrible spot, dude. He hugged me, dude, in the middle of sketch or wherever that was down there, you know. He's like, you stupid fuck. I'm so happy to see you. You scared the shit out of me because I just came around a corner, you know, and he was like, you know, because they had just taken some crazy contact and then they got caught in crossfire too, you know, between us and the Taliban. And it was they did that on purpose. They got right.
They got
in the middle
between
of
us and 3rd Platoon and engaged us. And not only that, and a lot that I had forgotten, there were scouts and at that ALP checkpoint to the kind of like northwest of us. And the scouts there, 3 of their guys got fucked up. Yeah. And because they were also in a gunfight.
I think 3rd flew a guy out too. Didn't they fly an A&A guy out?
They might have. Oh no, yeah, they did, but that was one that we probably shot.
Yeah, because he had 5.56.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he was on a rooftop.
Yeah.
We were shooting at people on rooftops and yeah, sorry, bro.
Sorry, dude. But that's what I mean. They're you know, people think too the Taliban are dumb, and they're not dumb. Some of them are dumb. Yeah. But the ones that like run the show are fucking smart.
Yeah. They really baited us into shooting at each other.
Yeah, they're good. They did that a lot. Yeah. Sometimes they would just take pot shots and get us to fire. And you know, we're reactionary enough to pull the trigger and throw rounds in a certain direction. And then now it's like there goes our element of surprise. Yeah. Everyone knows where we are now. Yeah. Because it's not like us where we can call on the radio and be like, yeah, they're here. Right. You know, they'll do that, but they know that we listen to that too. So what's a good way to let everyone know where they at? They're the Americans. They just shot 60-40 Mike, threw 4 hand grenades and shot a Gustav round at nothing, you know, like in a general direction of enemy fire.
Yeah, right.
But, so, I mean, if I remember correctly, we had pushed most of the way through our compound cluster.
We had pushed to the absolute last compound.
Yeah, we were almost done. We were making real good time. Like they were like, we might be done.
Yeah, and we were legit. Like we were gonna post up because that's where we slept that night. Was right there. Pretty much. It was like right in that area, and we got all the way there, and then we got a call from dudes from our 3rd platoon with EOD. Because they were lost and they couldn't figure out how to get up to the main road.
They couldn't figure out how to get back down to where 3rd platoon was.
Well, yeah, it was 3rd platoon, but then we got redirected to bring them back up to where the road was, to the north, right up where we got into that bigger firefight where we got into crossfire and stuff. So I remember we had to give up all the ground we took. And when we took that ground, we cleared a few IEDs.
Yeah, like, a lot of IEDs.
Very out of my skill set and everyone else's. Like we were at the point where we were taking the line charges and chopping up the line charges and trying to, you know, okay, it's on there, and then you know running the cord around the cable, the spool, and then you know pulling the shock tube and hoping it's going to blow. And it blew up a lot of them, most of them. And if not, we at least fucked their batteries up and shit so where they wouldn't blow up. And then we marked it and stayed away from it. But it was so bad. You would see the wires coming out of the ground, or like a battery just laying on the ground connected to something. That's like how many there were. Yeah, to the point where they were almost careless with them. They were like, throw another one there. Yeah, throw one there too. So we went through some shit clearing there. So nobody was happy to hear that we were giving up all our ground to walk all the way back
to that road.
To the road.
To find somebody with a Dell phone and like tell them like, look, pick their head up and look right there. Yeah. And there's the village they're trying to get to. It's like literally right. They can see it.
Basic land nav that the lowest of privates should know how to do. Walk north. There's literally go north. Go the opposite way we're going right now. You know, I mean, navigation, that whole area was fairly easy because you had a lot of huge landmarks. Spermangar is west. And just based off that alone, you should know which way you're going. Right. You know, because that's a monstrous mountain. It's like someone took a giant shit in the middle of a fucking field. It's like a big mound with an antenna.
The reason that this particular portion of our unit was so turned around is because this person was never on the ground. Mm-hmm. He went on 2 patrols the entire fucking deployment. First time he went and he quit on us. Mm-hmm. The second time he went because he had to be there. And he was scared to go do it himself, I think. Mm-hmm. And so instead of actually nutting up and doing his job as a leader, as one of the senior NCO leaders in the company, he decided to have us come up there and hold his hand and walk him down there because he was too fucking dumb to figure it out himself, or too scared. I think he was scared.
And I remember
because then we showed him where he needed to take.
Showed him
because we went
point at it.
I was literally like, go that way for 300 meters.
Yep.
And you will run right into him.
Yep.
Literally it wasn't mixed up or back and forth. It was straight.
Yeah.
And you could go straight because there was grape rows.
Yeah.
You know, so that's a safe way to go, up and down, up and down, up and down. You don't have to go through them. You don't have to go along the sides of them. You're going straight through them.
Yeah.
And you dump out. And that's what we did later in the day. We did exactly that. We were up and over all the way through. And then
we got there thinking our day was over.
And it wasn't.
It wasn't.
Yeah. But anyway, so we backpedal, give up all our ground, go back up to the road. And there was a really sketchy opening in the wall. Mm-hmm. And I was staying there with Sergeant Bally. And we were kind of just like hanging out there while people were crossing it, you know, just in case, kind of watch our back, because we thought we heard something, you know, because he stopped me and was like, "Did you hear that?" And I was like, "No." And he was looking, and it kind of bugged me out a little bit. I was like, what did you hear? You know? So people were crossing, and I forget who crossed. And as soon as they crossed, was it you? It was just like someone came around that corner and just fucking sprayed where we were crossing at. And Bally just went ham and started throwing everything in there. And we pretty much just kept shooting in there. And so the rest of the platoon moved across. It was kind of like we were covering like an LDA, like an inner danger area. And, you know, moved on from that, and it quieted down for I think they took like just a pot shot at us and ran away. Yeah. Just like
because they were close. I mean, they were real close. I don't think he realized it was like kind of like an accidental opportunity. Because he wasn't in any position to stay there and fight.
Oh, hell no. No. And because we had launched 40 mics in there.
Yeah.
He was gone or dead
gone.
Whatever. Yeah. And then that's when we got back out on the road, and we started taking contact from the field.
Yep.
And from kind of towards the compounds we had just cleared through, and from a grape row. It was probably a handful of them.
There were at least 3 positions I knew of.
Yeah.
That they were shooting us from. One was a grape hut to the far left.
Yeah, it was like the southeast.
Far,
south.
Left,
southeast.
Southeast.
Yep.
Operation.
Because we're facing the Registan.
Yep. Yeah. So
the cornfield.
There's a guy in the cornfield, like right where the grape row met the cornfield.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was somebody on the edge of the village.
That's right. It was a cornfield.
Someone at the very edge of the village that 3rd and 2nd were in. Mm-hmm. And they were like, those are the ones that basically enticed us to start shooting that direction.
Yeah.
I know at least of those 3, and that's in addition to whoever was shooting at 3rd from the south, and whoever was shooting at that ALP checkpoint from the west. Yeah. So at any given moment, there are probably 10 to 15 fighters moving around that area.
Absolutely. And I remember we got down on the wall, and we were shooting at him from the wall, and I think because you were stuck, Luke, you were stuck behind the truck, right? You were just kind of there.
Yeah, well,
that's where you were to stay, because it was you couldn't move. It was like a bad spot. You guys were in a shit spot behind the trucks.
Well, after that initial burst, I went to throw my hand grenade, like I told you last night, but I doubted my ability to clear that wall, get it like straight up to like 10 or 12 foot wall. So I tucked my grenade back in its pouch, pushed my pin back through while Bally was yelling at me to move. Mm-hmm. And I pushed up, and you guys were kind of I won't say you're bunched up.
We were.
It was starting to bunch up on that wall.
We were like in like a canal kind of thing against the wall.
Yeah, it was like the one little divot there that was some cover. And so I just kept moving to the trucks and got in behind the rear wheel of one of the trucks. And when we were up there, it was when that second fight kind of kicked off, and that's when they were shooting like at the trucks.
Yeah.
So this same person who we had to go up and hold the hand of was leaning his big dumbass noggin out the front end of that truck, and I just remember telling him like, so and so. So I conjured up the most condescending, like talking down to a kindergartner voice I ever could, and I was like, dude. So they're shooting at you, because bullets are just like zoop, zoop.
Yep.
And this dude, and the reason he didn't know is because he spent his entire career in the tank. Mm-hmm. And so he stuck his head out there, and they're fucking shooting at him. Like bullets are zipping past his head, and I don't think he even realized it. And I told him that, and he got back in the truck and never left it for the rest of the operation.
There was one thing he did. So I loaded up. You were gone because you were my goose man.
Yeah.
And you were up by the truck still. But I'm not going to be like, hey, come over here and run through all this fire just so you can shoot it instead, you know, and I kind of want to shoot it.
Well, I didn't realize that's what you guys were wanting. I thought you were waving me over to the cover, and I was like, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm behind up.
Yeah, you were good. Yeah, you were good. Yeah, you were fine. And I remember we loaded up the Gustav, and I had armed airburst. And I was, getting ready to throw an airburst over the field just because that was mainly where they were shooting at us from. And right as I was getting ready to fire, I had like my finger was going onto the trigger to fire this thing. The same individual, the senior, very senior NCO, told me to unload it and put a heat round in because that's what tanks use. And tanks are good at penetrating buildings with rounds. And so put a heat round in there.
He didn't know that once you had started the timer on that round,
that was
you had to shoot it within a certain amount of time, or the round was useless.
Yeah, I mean, you pretty much as soon as you twist that, you're committed. You have to fire that round, I literally had to give it to EOD. Like we couldn't even take it back with us because it's not safe. You have to hand it off and give it to a professional to blow or dispose of. You know. So I was kind of pissed that he made me do that because it was somebody that wasn't even really
he wasn't in charge of us. That was the thing.
Like he was, but he wasn't, you know?
Yeah, it was a classic example of someone who was overstepping their tactical boundaries. Like this guy had no business, even though he was technically our senior, he had no business trying to direct us on the ground when he had spent the entire deployment sitting on the cop.
So he had me load the heat round in, and we started taking contact again, right as I was getting situated to fire at this grape row that he wanted me to do. So, talking shit about people who miss earlier, I loaded the heat round. We got the heat round loaded in, and right as I was pulling the trigger, we got shot at, and I jumped, and I think I lifted a little bit because I shot it, and it was the roof of the grape row, and I shot it, and it was like, just like I barely missed it. It was probably like a foot, but I was just like, ooh.
It was not a bad shot, honestly.
Dude, my heart sank. I was like, oh my god, where did that fucking hit somebody, But it went out in the desert and then hit shit. I sent that thing into the Registan.
Oh yeah,
so that thing is long gone.
It would have been a good shot. It was close.
Yeah,
it's hard, man. It's hard to shoot that thing with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I pulled it. I missed it. The first to admit that.
Yanked it.
I won't lie about it. I never have.
Yeah.
Even though written elsewhere it says that I didn't, but whatever.
Yeah.
Well, they didn't either say that I did. They just said that I fired it. That's all it says.
Did fire it.
I did fire it, and then they did break contact shortly after. So it is true what they wrote.
Right.
But other than that, it's fine.
I mean, but that was also towards the end of that contact.
It was.
I mean, it started to dial down.
It was over. It was ending as I was loading that round in the first round, and we were kind of just gonna put a nail in it,
So, I mean, and I'm not really sure what their thinking was. I mean, I get they're trying to get us into crossfire and do all this kind of stuff, but we had trucks. This was one of the few times where we had dismounts and mounted people. Both engaging at the same time, at the same targets.
50 cals shooting
50
over
cals. And no Mark 19s because they never worked. But 240s were in it. There was a significant amount of volume of fire going down.
Yeah. But I think this is the difference between, I think that's where we talk about that lull for a few weeks. Yeah. I think that was new people that came in. I don't think it was a lot of the older guys, and maybe it was some of them.
Yeah.
But I don't think it was a lot of them because remember, later in the day, we were getting birds. Pretty much towards the end of that deployment, birds would come over, and they used to care. They used to, as soon as they would hear a bird, that was it. It was done, and then they stopped caring. It seemed because they would fire until the bird took them out.
Yeah,
literally to the end, and they never did that before. So to me, that screams of new.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, or someone new.
Yeah,
or a different something. Because who knows who's operating there besides the Taliban? So close to the Pakistan border. You never know who's there. So
man, they fought pretty hard
and they did
between. TBIs and concussions and actual gunshot wounds with the cav or with the scouts over at the other OP. I mean, 6-7 guys went home that day.
Yeah. And we lost quite a few. We had a few injuries from that and stuff. And, we lost quite a few.
Yeah.
And then I ended up, because our squad leader had to go back.
Yep.
I ended up taken over as a squad leader.
And Dennison took
over as the platoon sergeant. You know, our platoon sergeant had to go back.
Right.
And,
yeah.
you know,
downhill.
Up the chain we went. And I remember, like, one person I always remember is Sergeant Jones. You guys remember Sergeant Jones from 2nd Platoon? Mm-hmm. Man, dude, he was
Mike Jones.
Yeah, Mike. Dude, he knew that we were like stressing. He was out there like making us laugh and like. I got so much respect for that dude, man, because he just like he saw like how shook up like our platoon was and like how like just you know I think he read that we were like not stoked right now because we lost like a lot of people, like had to go back and he was just cracking jokes and like, oh, you got this, man, like, oh, you need some ammo and whatever, and he was just like giving us everything we need and stuff and kind of gave us a good little pep talk, you know, me and Dennison and stuff, and then we pushed down with the EOD element that
what we thought was our bed down site.
Yeah.
Or what was.
It's what we thought was the bed down site. And
because at this point, the individual that had started this whole debacle by not knowing where he was going, we pointed him to where we were going. It's like, okay, not only is that where you're going, there's the road that's going to take you there. Here's us walking. We'll see you there.
Yeah.
And we got to Objective Rachel.
Yeah, we walked down there, and that's when I told you I came around that corner,
and that's where
Sergeant Morgan saw me and like gave me a big ass hug.
Yep.
It was just so stoked to see us, you know, he was just so happy.
And we get there and we're unpacking and we're like, okay, we're at our bed in sight. It's before dark. This is great. This never happens.
We were set for success.
We were set for success. And then we get a radio call. They can't make it. They can't figure out the route. Can you walk back and escort the Minotaur back down to Rachel?
And that's when I was like, hey, you know, let's try and make this as easy as possible. We'll drop our stuff, our sleeping stuff, our nighttime shit over here.
Yep.
And we'll have the other platoon watch it. And, you know, we'll lighten our load because we're about to carry back boxes and ammo cans and all kinds of shit. We're going to be loading our bags up with food and everything. So we need to make some room. We also need to lighten the load because we've been going at it all day and everybody's broke the fuck off. Yeah. And this isn't over. There's a whole nother day that we know for sure is another day, possibly a third.
Yeah.
Depending on how much ground we cover. And so we walk all the way back, you know, get all the supplies and everything. And then, you know, on the way back, we get all the way back to the compound and all of our stuff's gone. Do you remember that?
I did.
I don't think you might not have put anything.
Drop my stuff.
See, I dropped my stuff. All of our shit was gone. So like sleeping bags, whoobies, like all kinds of shit. That was like, and it was cold that night. It was dipping down. It was getting to be like towards winter time. You know, it's fall. It wasn't like, you know, a million degrees outside anymore. It was, you know, like the 50s or 60s at night.
Yeah.
Which, you know, when it's like 90 during the day, is a huge temperature difference. So I was pissed. I was very upset. And I used some choice words with people that were way higher ranking than me. And I got checked pretty quick. One of them calmed me down, and then the other one came in and checked me and like kind of put me back in my zone where I belonged. So, but yeah, that was a rough night, man. I remember all laying there, and like everybody had a real rough day. I mean, Luke, you had a rough day. I mean, like you had a rough day.
Yeah.
Like everyone was just like, man, we were exhausted. And then I remember sitting up at night. Me and Lloyd had a split guard duty. And we were up like every other hour with different dudes. I remember I got stuck on guard with like one of the newer guys. And I was just like, oh my God. Like I had nothing to say to him really, you know? So I'm sitting up there for an hour and I'm trying to like stay awake and keep eyes out on this compound where they absolutely know that we are.
And they could have absolutely gotten some of us.
Dude, they could have just chucked like 3-4 hand grenades over the wall and that would have been a whole squad. Later, Gator, you know? Like. But it was a rough night, no sleep, you know, super cold. I remember we started off trying to sleep like spread out and we ended up accordioning together underneath like 2 whoobies that were like laid. One was laid across the top, one was laid across the bottom, and everybody was I was in a sleeping bag with somebody. I forget who it was because mine was gone. I got stolen. And next morning we got up and they had the Minotaur come down.
No, we had already brought the Minotaur.
Was the Minotaur there?
That's why we went back up to the trucks.
Yeah.
We went and we got it and we drove it back on that road.
That's right.
And then it hit like 2 IEDs on the way in.
Yeah.
Into that village cluster. Then we got in there, we parked it, we went to bed.
Yeah.
Then the next morning we woke up and we were going to take that Minotaur to Najat.
That's right, because we drove the Minotaur down the road. And then literally like it drove for like it had to be like 10 feet.
Hit the first
douche.
One. Yeah.
And then we looked at it. We looked around. And like, everybody's good, right? Everybody's fine. Minotaur seems okay. Like, yeah, keep going. Let's do it.
Then at least we stopped walking on the road. We walked to the side of the road.
Yeah, we did. We still on the side.
The road.
Yeah.
And then it hit another one.
And then that was it. Minotaur was down for permanently.
Yeah. we were still able to get it to the trucks to get driven away.
Yeah.
But like it's another example. Like we've been telling people for months the Minotaur is useless because once it hits an IED, it's a recovery operation. Minotaur down didn't prove that, and then we wasted all that manpower and assets and time to go up to get the thing, bring it back down to Rachel, to bring it back up the road.
Yeah,
they get blown up 5 times, and then they just put it on a low boy. They drove it away. We never used it,
and that alone was like very damaging to the platoon.
Yeah.
That really was weighed really heavy on a lot of people.
Yeah, because we're starting the day and we just hit 3 IEDs.
And that incident alone lowered our level down again.
Yeah.
Another person.
Yeah, for TBI.
And now, we're looking at doing a mission that is easily like a company size operation.
Yeah.
Easily, if not,
right.
more than that. And we're doing it with like, what do we have? Like 14 of us,
half of a platoon,
15 of us and like a handful of ANA. And like, that was it.
The
company commander, who, it's not very many of us.
No.
It's especially for the area we were going to. It was like, oh man, this is what I'm taking.
Yeah.
Like, that's it. Like, can we get like an AC-130 circle in or something, like anything.
I mean, we fortunately we did have dedicated air.
We did, which was good. We did have the birds rotating in and out, but there's always that gap. Hey,
and they knew when that gap was.
We're on station for an hour and a half, and then you beat for like 45 minutes, an hour.
Yep.
And it's like, it's pretty much, it gives them like 45 minutes, an hour to fuck with us. Yeah. And
well, I don't remember a whole lot about the movement. I remember it being tough. We were bouncing in between compounds and clearing compounds along the way and trying to stay off the roads through those clots.
Yeah.
Because like we can clear the compounds without getting on the road. And that was kind of our strategy, just to do it with, if there were 2 sides of the road in the clot, we'd send half of the squad on the right, half the squad on the left. We'd kind of just climb the walls in between the backyards of the compounds, and then we'd
because that was the point in the deployment where we had seen so many people just freaking disappear in front of us that it got to the point where I remember because it got to the point where I was making all the route choices for the platoon, or at least for our squad when we go on missions. And I purposefully, as much as some people probably hated it, I didn't give a shit. I made it the most awful, terrible. Because I remember quite a few missions there we were clearing, and I'm sorry, you look so miserable.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it was like, at least we're not walking down a road.
Yeah.
And I was trying to take us places like where we would never find an IED ever. And I did it because I didn't want to see anyone else get fucked up,
right.
And especially not off of my decision.
Right.
You know what I mean? I don't want to be responsible for that. And so I literally I looked on our map and was like, this looks like the shittiest, most fucked up ass backwards way to get here. We're going that way. Yeah. Because they're not going to expect it. They're not going to, there's not going to be IEDs there. And if there are, it's luck of the draw.
Million,
but, Yeah, I remember we pushed into
so whatever town had 3 Dome Mosque.
Yeah, there was something there. I don't remember exactly which towns were which. I do remember. I remember Najat.
Sure.
Obviously, everybody knows when you're coming in Najat.
Yeah.
Pretty ominous place. But remember, we pushed in the first compound, and that's when we found. So we pushed into the one compound, and it was empty. The whole village, little area, was empty.
Oh yeah.
And that's when we weren't in there for very long. I think I had split off with Lieutenant Kohler a little bit. We were walking over to look at something, and you guys were still on the road, and they started spraying down the road. I think it was from behind us, wasn't it?
Talking about when I got shot?
Yeah, when you got shot.
No, that was from in front of us. That was from the shot, or possibly from the checkpoint, honestly.
Because I was in a weird spot, because I wasn't there. I was in a comp, and I remember we got shot from the front of us, from the east of us.
Yeah.
But I don't remember. But it's kind of weird where we were at, because they were shooting over the wall at where me and Kohler were.
Yeah.
But where you guys were, you were just exposed on that road.
It was just the four of us happened to be in the road, because we were transitioning as a platoon from like the southwest corner, not southwest, the northwest corner of this kalot to the southeast corner of it. So it requires you being on the road for about 20 meters.
Yeah, and then you dip off.
Mm-hmm. So like we tried to space it out pretty well. Like a couple guys go, okay, a couple guys go, okay. Mm-hmm. And when it was me, Tallman, Roberts, and Robbins went, that's when they decided to shoot. Mm-hmm. It was very quick. It was pretty short.
Yeah, it was a pretty short engagement. I remember as you guys took that on the road, me and Kohler were in an area with we were looking for some of the Afghans, because the Afghans had wandered off and were by themselves. Yeah. You could hear them shooting and hear them getting shot at. So we went over to go see what was going on. And we were able to get them, like, redirect them out of there back to where everybody else was. And like, as soon as we left there, like a bunch of 37s came in and just blew that whole fucking area apart, you know? Yeah. So like, it's good timing. Yeah. You know, it was good that me and Kohler were able to get back there and get them out of there. You know, came back out on the road, and I remember I looked at you and I was like, "Are you okay?" Like, you freaked me out. You had like bullet holes in your backpack, and you had the claymore in your backpack. I remember we took the claymore out and we were looking at it to make sure there's no fucking bullets in it, because we couldn't find an exit wound. Or not exit wound, but exit hole on your backpack. I think there probably was one.
There was, because it was a ricochet went up.
Yeah, and we couldn't find it. We were like, where the hell is it? Like, is it lodged in something? Yeah. You had all these explosives in your bag. Yeah. So it's like, oh God, like, what's it stuck in? And so I remember, we kind of like reconsolidated from that, you know, changed our underwear and continued moving on. And that's when we came to the second part of that village cluster right there. And that's where we found the two dudes. Mm-hmm. And went over to them, X-sprayed them. One of them came back for stuff. And then we zip cuffed them, and then we dipped out. And from there, I'm trying to think. So there was another thing about that whole mission, was we were down a piece of mine clearing equipment. So it was just the one piece. So we were taking turns, actually, like clearing with our legs. Yeah. You know, so like people would take turns, you know. Oh, I'll walk in front of everybody for 100 meters. Yeah. Or, oh, I'll walk, you know, it's my turn. Like, I'll be and it's funny because we kind of made a game out of it, like a joke to kind of get through it. And I remember people would be like, oh, I'll be the no legs guy. And then the guy behind him would be like, oh, I'll be the shrapnel guy. And then the guy behind him would be like, I'll be the TBI guy. And it was funny because that's
exactly how it played out.
It's not funny, but it's ironic that it played out that way, because it ended up being amputee, shrapnel, TBI guy in the end. Right. You know, I remember we got to a compound right before we were pushing into the weed field, and we kind of took a little tactical pause to see where we were going to go. We were looking at the map, and I was out of water. I think everyone was out of water, because I asked Dennison, I'm like, hey, dude, do you have any water? Like, I could use like a sip of water right now. I have nothing. Like, I had sucked the air out of my camelback. You know, I had nothing left. And he was like, nah, dude. He's like, I'm out. And I looked at Nagur, and I was like, dude, like, you got some water? And he was like, nah, I got nothing. And we were sitting there just kind of like, fuck, we're out of water. And it ends up, Nagurn's like, oh, you know, I think I have something. You know, I think I have a drink in my bag. Hold on. So he goes down into his bag and he pulls out a 5-hour energy. I'm like, I looked at it, but you know what? Like, it sounds stupid, but I looked at that thing and I was like, you know, like I was ready to drink some of it. And he had 2. So we told him, we were like, hey, you take one, you slam one, that's yours. And then me and Dennison split the other one. So we always joke like we had like a 2.5-hour energy together. We split a 5-hour energy, and that was like the last thing I had to drink. And I remember I was like, I think that was the last thing I had to drink. I had like nothing to drink like hours before then. You know, everybody was like black on water.
Like I'm I'm like, my mouth is like drying out.
Yeah, like, same. I'm just thinking about it. You know, and I think that like is some of my like wartime trauma that I carry with me. I always like have to have water with me now. Like if I don't have water with me or a drink, I feel very uncomfortable. I'm like, oh, I need to get water right now.
Thing.
Yeah, that's probably from that mission right there.
Probably,
you know. And so we reconsolidated, and we were like, all right, well, we figured out the best seemed like the best route into the weed field. So start walking through the weed field, and like I said, Dennison, myself, Lieutenant Kohler, and Nagurn were we pushed ahead of everyone, and we were kind of like being like the route clearance team. And we pushed to this weed field, and then as soon as we pushed to the weed field, I mean, speaking of the weed field was like an impenetrable jungle. You remember, Curtis? Like it was like you could not see the person like 3 feet in front of you. It was like the darkest, thickest weed field I think we ever walked through on that deployment. It was
8,
ridiculous.
9 foot stalks.
Yeah.
I mean,
and it was at harvest season, so it was as big as they're gonna get, you know, and just huge buds, and everybody's getting all sticky and caught up in it, and you can't see, and you have to like yell to the person in front of you, like, "Hey, slow down! I can't see you. Hey, slow down! I can't see you." And they're literally like, "What do you mean? I'm right here, dude. I'm like 3 feet away." So we finally come out of that freaking, you know, heart of darkness jungle and get out into this field, and it's just a straight open field facing Najat, and we were just like, fuck.
Yeah.
Like, but at
No
this
cover
point, yeah, but at this point there's like no way to get in. So we kind of real quickly decide, you know, all right, well, everybody else kind of hang back a little bit. You know, we're going to push up to this wall, and we're going to see how see how this goes, because there's like no other choice. And we got within 20 feet of that wall, and some fucking Taliban dude comes right up on the wall with a PKM and just holds the trigger for like a solid, like, I don't know, whether you say like 5 seconds, 6 seconds, just probably dumped like 50 rounds, you know? I don't know how he didn't hit any of us. Like, I really don't. To this day, like, I feel like it's that scene from Pulp Fiction where, you know, the dude's in the bathroom and he comes out. You know, if you guys have seen that movie, and he's just like, "Oh, fuck you," and he's squeezing rounds and he misses them, and then, you know, they kill him, whatever. But that's what it felt like, because we were like, you know, like, how do we not have like 8,000 holes in us right now? And then, you know, so he sprayed at us, we shot back. And then we kind of had like a real quick pause, because we were like, is that it? And then like the whole village like started shooting at us. Like there was probably like 7 or 8 dudes, you know, shooting at us from that little compound. Maybe more, you know, I don't know. It was quite a bit. And it was very overwhelming. Like it was probably the most overwhelming fire I've ever experienced, ever. That whole deployment. And we got to the point where we're like, we got to get out of here. Like this, we're going to die. And so Dennison saw a crack in the wall. And, you know, as most of us know, you know, the crack in the wall is like telltale sign there's going to be an ID there, especially in an area like Najat where they don't want you to go in ever. So Dennison takes off, and I see where he's going. Like, I know where he's going. I'm just like, oh, fuck, please don't let the random ID there. But we got to get out of the field or we are going to die. Or get fucked up. And so he dives it through the hole and lands. It doesn't blow up, because like I'm running behind him, and like as he jumps, I'm like, oh God. And then it didn't go, nothing happened. So I right on top of him. I jumped on top of him. And then Kohler jumped on top of me. And then Nagurn jumped on top of all of us. So it's just like a huge dog pile, because I think we were all thinking like the same thing. You know, everybody had that same thought in their mind. So like we kind of reconsolidated again, wiped our butts real quick. And, you know, that's when the rest of the platoon, you know, came up online, and then they started taking the heavy contact. Everybody else was able to get up.
Right.
And so we were able to maneuver back towards you guys, and we got up and over a wall. And I remember we were like running, but everybody was like online pretty much, just laying it into Najat, just whatever they had, you know, 40 Mike, Saw, 240, like everybody's just laying scunny into this town. And as we were running past, a Koa got shot. in the arm. And I remember he flew backwards and was just like, oh, he's like, fuck. He's like, my arm. So like I tried, and I'm like exhausted at this point, mind you. Like it's been a long 2 days and we're out of water and we had just gone through this gnarly experience like up at the front. And I remember I reached down to grab him, to grab his armor. And I grabbed it, and it was like trying to pull a ton of fucking bricks. I was like, it like stopped me dead in my tracks. I think I took like 4 steps with him, and I had to like let him go, and I fell down into the ditch. There's like a ditch on the side of the road, and I was kneeling there, and I was like trying to get back up, and I was just like so smoked, and I was like, Akoa. I was like, get in the ditch. And then people were yelling at him to get in the ditch, and he like kind of got close, and I was able to grab him and like roll him down into the ditch. And that's when Todd had come up behind me, and I kind of felt bad because I was kind of stealing Todd's thunder doing the medic stuff, you know. But like I mean you saw I treat a lot of dudes from that deployment, and like I loved everybody, man. I mean, if I can help them, I'm gonna try and help them, you know. And well,
unfortunately for Akoa, there wasn't a whole lot that needed to be done. It was
he was pretty good
little nick.
Yeah, it was. I mean, he had it lodged in him. It was lodged in his arm.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. It was a bullet fragment lodged in his arm, right? It had gone in his bicep and it lodged in his arm. We always joke like, oh, he was so strong, he flexed the rest of it out, you know? So it was like only like a fragment that was in there. But like, I mean, anybody knows Akoa. If you want to paint a picture for people that don't know him, he's like 5'5", 5'6", short, just like bald dude, shaves his head, just solid. He's like a stack of bricks, dude. I think he does like strongman stuff now, and he's benching like 600 pounds. He's a big dude. He's dense. He's
strong.
Yeah. You know. And I remember that's why when I went to go drag him, it was just like, oh my god, like I can't fuck. It was like trying to pull a car. You know,
he's not fat.
No, he's not fat.
It's like every inch
solid,
of it is muscle.
Yeah, he's
ripped. There's like muscles that ripple across.
Exactly. It's like you can see like his neck muscles. You know, when he's, you know.
Yeah.
But I remember we cut his sleeve off, put a Israeli bandage on his arm partially, and as we were putting the Israeli bandage on, they came across and said that the Apaches were going to fire. Yes. They were going to shoot rockets. We were like, well, fuck, where? You're like, we're in an open field right now. Like, they could shoot close to us because we're getting shot at pretty close.
Yeah.
And I asked the RTO, I'm like, where? And he's like, there. And I'm like, that is a terrible answer that you never give ever in the infantry world. Because if you say that, like you're an idiot. You know, 3 Ds, dude. Give me the Ds.
They were doing terrain denial fires.
Yeah.
They were shooting into an open field in the middle of it. Actually, it's probably the open field that we walked through later in the thing. It's probably what they were shooting into.
Yeah. So they so I was just like, fuck it. Like, let's get out of here. So, you know, we were getting ready to get Akoa up, and then the field got raked again.
Yeah.
By another, I don't know if it was the PKM or the AK. I wasn't even looking up there at this point. I just heard the rounds coming in, and we hit the dirt.
That was when the Afghan got shot?
Yeah, that was when the Afghan got shot. And so we started, I mean, I threw a few rounds after that over Akoa, and then I helped him up, and we jammed across the field. Got him down behind cover, and then Todd was able to actually get him more packaged up and everything. And then we had left Akoa's bag though in the field when we got him out of there, because we were just trying to get the hell out of there. It was a bad spot, and they were like, and Akoa was like, my bag's over there. It's got explosives, and we were just like, oh fuck, we have to get that fucking bag. And so me and Denison go up to each other, and he's like, I'm going to get it. I'm like, we'll both get it. Like, you're not going to go by yourself, and you're not going to let me go. So we go right out there, we get up against the edge of the wall, and we count down from like 5 for like 5. We tell the A&A guy just to lay the scunion around the corner. You know, we do our countdown 5 to 1, and then we just run as fast as we can, grab this bag, and come back. Which was like, it was pretty nerve-wracking. You know, I really didn't want to go out there and grab the bag, but I kind of had to. But
I mean, that the firefight kind of ended, not ended because it never really ended until
we still threw some rounds.
We threw some rounds
afterwards.
They threw some at us.
Yeah.
They shot at the bird when it came in to take Akoa and the Afghan guy away.
Yeah.
Which, you know, we were lucky that happened next to a field that they could land in.
Well, they took a koa, and the Afghan didn't get on.
Oh, that's right.
We told him, we're like, get on the bird, and we started getting shot at, and instead of getting on the bird, he hit the deck.
Oh, and the bird
left. The bird was like, oh, later.
Yeah,
it dipped because they were gonna get
call
fucked
it back.
up.
They're like, no, we're not calling it back.
Yeah, so he stuck it out with us. They were pissed about that too.
Yeah,
I remember they were mad.
They were mad that we didn't medevac. It was like, no, you had your chance, bro.
Exactly. You know, should have got on the bird.
You know, it's funny. You know, the time between when that first gunshot happened and that medevac was over an hour.
Yes.
But it feels like it was just like
I don't know. It feels fast.
And to try to get to the meat of this one, I'll cut a lot of this out. Yeah, we started to probe how we could get into the village because this was our last objective. We had to clear Najat, and then just past Najat, we were 250 meters away from the end of our mission. We just had to clear a couple buildings, call it good. Like even Captain Kitchen was like, "Hey man, let's just check this box and go home." You know, we kept trying to find ways into this village, and they all was like, "No, that's a choke point. Like, look at that. There's a V in the wall. There's a four-way intersection. They just shot at us from that direction. There's gonna be something there." And we're trying all these different ways in. We finally get in. We push south to like where there was a mosque down there and a bridge or something.
Yeah.
We cleared that, and while they were clearing that, that's when you and Kitching, Dennison, Kohler, Gurn, like Stefan were like, "Hey, we're gonna figure out how to get out of here."
Yeah.
Because you had our only mine detector.
Yeah. Yeah. Me and Dennison were switching off. You know, doing the mine clearing and everything like that. We were trying to kind of split it up, and it got to the point where like he like wouldn't let me take it because he knew I didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
But I was trying to do it anyway. But yeah, he said would not let me take it from him. Would not let me take it from him. He was like, I got it. Like, I'll do it. I'll get us out of here.
Yeah.
You know? But it just like speaks to the kind of guy he is.
Yeah.
You know, like he's fucking badass, dude. You know, like super badass dude. We were very lucky to have him, you know. So we were clearing. We kind of got to the end there. We cleared over this road, started working through a field, and then that's when you guys had stayed back. You guys were holding just so we could kind of figure out, like you said, how to get out of here.
And also the Afghans were still clearing some random buildings.
Yeah, it was there was a few things going on, and so we came around a corner, and I remember stepping down from a pile of bricks, and then there's just this bright flash, like real bright, and it sounded like I was inside a jet engine. And I remember Dennison disappeared. I saw him for a second, and it flashed. I guess it was almost like cameras are going off, kind of like it flashed, and then it flashed again, like really intense. And I didn't see him anymore. And I remember getting pushed, like my right arm getting pushed up, and then I woke up on the ground.
And that right arm being pushed, that was your weapon
coming up
with your hand on it.
Yeah.
So it was like an involuntary movement in your hand because it was on the weapon.
It was pushing me because I was, sitting there in the normal stance, hand on my 203, other hand, on my grip. And then I got pushed up like this, like my elbow kind of came up, and where the ACOG was, I think it connected with me. And I think as soon as it hit me, I think it knocked me the fuck out, like cold. So I woke up on the ground, and I remember when I woke up on the ground, I knew what happened. I knew an IED went off. Yeah. I knew that's what it was. But I was scared to open my eyes because I was like, I couldn't feel anything. Right. I couldn't feel like the right side of my body at all. So before I opened my eyes, I like wiggled my toes. And I was like, okay, like I can feel my toes. And then I wiggled my hands, and I'm like, okay, I can feel my hands. And then I opened my eyes, and I couldn't see anything. And that kind of bugged me out a little bit. I remember rubbing my face. I'm trying to see, and what it was like, it wasn't so much my eyes were damaged. It was I was wearing contacts, which you're not supposed to do. But I always wore them because, unlike glasses, you can see out of your peripherals. And where do you get attacked from? Right. The side. So I want to be able to see everything. So that's why I never liked the whole glasses thing. And then you can't wear eye pro, whatever. My contact lenses like partially melted. Oh. But they didn't melt to my eyes. They just got like kind of glazed over. Yeah. And it was, that's why I couldn't see. Because I remember I got it out and it was all white. Like that's why I couldn't see. I couldn't see, and I had dirt in my eyes.
So you were able to pull the contacts out.
Yeah, I got them out. They kind of, because I was rubbing my eyes so hard, they came out. that came dislodged. And I remember looking over at Nagurn, because Nagurn was next to me, because I had gotten launched like 10 feet, and I don't remember it, but I was knocked out, but I hit him with my body. He remembers it.
Yeah.
Because he said I came flying out of nowhere, and that's all he remembers is seeing me get close, and he was on the ground. But anyway, I looked over, and he was like dragging his head on the ground, like he was not in good shape. He didn't have any like exterior injuries, but he absolutely had TBI.
Yeah,
like he got rocked, because I think he took the blast wave. Because the weird thing with those blast waves, if you're really close, it's not as bad. But if you're set back a little bit, like you get hit with a lot of it. You know, you get hit with the brunt of it there for some reason. I don't know why. Because we've seen that with a few other guys that got hit. They were back a little bit,
right, and
they got a worse TBI than the guy standing in it,
right?
You know, like with going back to Clark and Holt, where Clark was pretty lucid, but Holt was like space cadet.
Yeah,
So I looked over at Nagurn, and I started to make sure he was all right, and Kohler came over. Kohler, was up there. I could hear him yelling for something. And I saw them like talking about Dennison, and then I like remembered that Dennison was in front of me, because I was kind of TBI and stuff.
It's all coming back together.
I'm kind of like, I got rocked pretty hard, so I'm trying to like get my grounding again. And I remember as like very shortly after I woke up and all this happened, I heard another explosion, and I knew as soon as I heard it, I was just like, oh, I was like, fuck. And I knew it was one of the medics. I knew it was Todd or Sal. Come to find out it was Todd later on, And like shortly after that, I heard Kohler calling for me. And Kohler was like, Evans, like, I need your help. Like, what do I do? Because we didn't have a medic anymore. Yeah. And he knew that I carried the extra aid bag. I treated almost everybody in the platoon. I treated just about everybody in the platoon that got wounded, So I got up and I went over to help him. And I remember like, Dennison laying there, that we got him up out of the creek, and he was laying on the ground, and one of his legs was missing below the knee, and the other one was still there, but it was pretty tore up. Like he had no calf muscle left. It was just bone. And so he started getting, we got his tourniquets on, 3 extra tourniquets on, started wrapping him up, trying to get his vitals and stuff, trying to keep him calm. And the one thing that like always stuck in me from that was he reached out his hand, and I was holding his hand, and in a super monotone voice, he was just saying, I need some medicine. Just like that. And it was freaking me the fuck out, because I thought he was going to die right there. Because when he got blown up, he lost the one leg, got launched into the creek. Yeah. And he must have just been dumping blood because he was in the water. Yeah. He
almost drowned in that creek too.
And so I didn't think he was going to make it. I thought that he was going to die. And it freaked me out, man. I was like, I had like tears coming out of my eyes, sitting there waiting for this bird to come, thinking that he's going to die, and thankfully the bird was fucking quick.
They were quick, there, and they were professional,
and they didn't give a shit that we had just taken contact. Because like you said, professional, we will get birds that we'll be taking contact, and they'll be like, nope, it's not safe. Nope, it's not safe. Move to a different LZ. They didn't give a shit. They knew that we needed them.
And that was the only LZ.
They put down in the craziest, most uneven, tight spot ever, dude. And I remember we got Dennis and loaded up, and we carried him over to the helicopter, and got him on the bird. Then came back. I remember sitting down, and I everything that happened kind of started catching up with me, and I started kind of feel woozy, and I was Dennison a million times worse than me, but I was pretty tore up. I had my nose was kind of hanging off my face. I had shrapnel stuck in my legs, my arm, all over my face. I just fractured my L5 when I hit Nagurn, so my back was fractured, and then the brain injury, so I was like, I think my adrenaline started to dump And then that's when I started to kind of, get woozy and I was getting lightheaded. And the bird had to come back and pick me and the Gurn up because they only had room for Todd and Dennison.
And their medic.
And their medic had hopped out on the ground and stayed with us. And I remember looking at the medic. It's like one memory I have, another very vivid memory. And I looked at him, and he probably looked at me, and I looked bad.
Yeah.
And I probably freaked out a little bit, in all fairness. I looked at him, and all he had was the M9. And I looked at him, and I was like, "Is that all you brought?" And he was like, "Yeah." I was like, "You're fucked," or something. I said something like "fucked up," I was just like in a weird space, and I was just like, "Oh God, that's not good," or something, And he looked a little nervous after I said, the guy with his fucking face hanging off is telling him that, And
well, this is one thing that we've been building up to that I really, really, really wanted to talk about was the valor of that medic, and the two crews that flew into that HLZ.
Oh yeah, dude, they were.
It was. Imagine if you're in an enemy base and you're doing a medevac in an enemy base on an LZ that is only the perfect size for a Black Hawk helicopter.
And there's IEDs everywhere.
There's IEDs everywhere.
Yeah.
They're in the village. We know they're in the village. We just shot at them in the village.
Yeah.
And so the helicopter came in the first time and to judge the approach, and it wasn't very good, and he did a go-around.
And what a lot of people probably don't realize with IEDs and stuff, that helicopter could land on an IED.
100%.
That's it. It's done.
Over.
And it can kill everyone in the bird.
That's a very bad day.
Oh, yeah. And then,
Then we're stuck there guarding it for 6 days.
But, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they came in and they did a go-around because they didn't quite nail it right. But the next time around, they came in, perfect approach, planted it, this medic. And for those that aren't necessarily familiar, Army medics do not get out of Army helicopters.
No, they don't. They stay.
They stay on the helicopter. That is their place of duty. They do not get off. That pararescuemen do it. I'm sure even other services, their medics might get off the helicopters. But he got off with just an M9.
Yeah.
And he got off because we had no medics. It was total, just worst case scenario.
Yeah.
I have heard of them getting off to help do slings.
Yeah, and
stuff
I've had them, hop off and help me get patients on and stuff. When I was working at
but
the
district
district
alone
center,
on the ground.
Yeah, never.
Because that helicopter just dropped him and took off again.
Because that's his that would be like someone leaving their platoon and just saying, "Oh, I'm gonna go by myself."
Yeah,
and hang out with this platoon.
Just by himself on the ground. So. It was one of my goals to figure out who that was and who that unit was, who the pilots were, but to leave him there, and then he did what he did, and then he didn't even get back on his own aircraft. We loaded Todd and Dennison onto that first aircraft, and it took off without him.
It did, yeah.
He got on some other cruise aircraft.
Yeah. Well, he got on when he was still there when they landed to pick us up.
Yeah.
And I think he got on with that.
He got on with you guys, yeah. But it's just, first off, medevacs generally don't like to land in the same LZ multiple times.
And they did it.
They did it 3 times. Actually, 4 times.
Well, they knew that we needed them.
It was the only LZ.
Yeah.
It was either that or a hoist, and they definitely were not going to be wanting to do a hoist in that area. I don't think they never would have got approved.
No, they would have got shot down in 2 seconds.
If it was between a hoist or Sergeant Dennison dying, they probably would have said, "I'm sorry."
Yeah.
And it would have been a tough decision to make, but an aircraft and 5 people versus 1 guy.
Yeah.
I'm glad they didn't have to make that decision because we probably would have put him on our back and hiked him down that creek, and that would have been that.
Yeah.
Because we would have done it. Fortunately, we didn't have to.
Yeah, thankfully.
And then, were you conscious the whole way back once you got on that bird?
Yeah. So I remember I think because my adrenaline was pumping, I was able to help Dennis get to the bird.
Yeah.
And but towards the end there, I was loopy, and Stefan had to help me get on the bird. I was the world was freaking spinning on me a little bit. I was kind of off balance and I couldn't walk right. And Stefan helped me on the bird, said goodbye to me, and then we took off in the Gurn. And I remember I think it was maybe a symptom of the brain injury, and then on top of everything that had happened throughout the whole deployment, specifically those 2 days was compounding, and I was kind of aggro. I was a little aggressive, not mean or anything like that, but I wouldn't let the medic touch me. I was I'm fine, dude. I'm fine. Fuck off, pretty much.
Yeah.
And it's I'll take my clothes off. You don't have to cut them off. And he was I feel I felt bad for the guy. He was wincing as I was taking my stuff off because I didn't know how my face looked. I'm sure it looked pretty bad, but I'm taking my armor off over my stuff, and he's just like, oh, careful,
Yeah.
careful, like careful,
don't rip your nose off.
And I was awake the whole time, and we landed at CAF, at Kandahar Airfield, where the hospital is, and I didn't want them to wheel me off. I don't know why. I don't know if I was just mad or if I just wanted to walk on my own off the bird. I just didn't want to get carried. Something was like, I was just mad about it. I didn't want them to carry me. So I ended up, at this point I was naked with just my boots on. And I walked across the airfield at Kandahar with my dick hanging out pretty much to the hospital. And then they put me on the stretcher, and then they wheeled me into the trauma room. And I had like 6 or 7 doctors on me, like immediately as soon as I got in there. I could see where they took Todd, because I kind of saw Todd. I didn't see Dennison, but I heard like a lot of commotion somewhere, and I'm pretty sure that was Dennison. And I remember laying in the bed, and they were asking me what happened. And like, I think all the memories from the deployment like hit me at once. And I fucking started crying like a fucking baby.
Yeah.
Like just 100%, like just tears coming out of my eyes. And I was like, because they asked me what happened. And like, I just like told them. And I remember at the end, I was like, I'm just so tired of seeing my friends get hurt. Like I'm so sick of it, and I just had tears come out of my eyes, and then they gave me a Valium. And then I calmed down a little bit after that. Yeah. They saw how upset I was. And, cause we did, man, there's a lot of people got hurt, and a lot of people don't realize that it's like they get hurt and then we don't see them again.
Right.
They're gone.
Yeah.
And there's a gap there where like, especially for some of the more serious guys like Clark and Dennison, like you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what's happening. You don't know if they're dead. Thankfully it's not like how it was before. Like I told you a story about my dad where, there was the guy from Vietnam that got wounded real bad when he was there, and he thought he was dead until he saw him at a reunion 30 years later. So, it's not that bad, but it's just going through that whole process, I think, over and over and over again, just kills you inside. And I throughout the deployment, there was some hard times. There was Swindle, there was Clark and stuff. And like, I remember I'd have a hard time. I talked to Sergeant Bally about it, and he would be like, you know what, dude? He's like, I know. And he's like, we need to talk about it. Talk about it to me. But when you're in front of everybody, you got to take those feelings and just stuff them in your pocket and just stuff them down. And you got to keep them there. And when you get home, you deal with it. But right now you need to keep it together, because everybody else is going to look at you and see how you're acting, because you're an NCO.
If you're falling apart, they're going to fall apart.
And it's going to be a domino effect, which we saw in other platoons, And I think me doing that the whole deployment kind of came to a head, when I was in the hospital bed. And then Akoa came over after they gave me the Valium, and he was all bandaged up in a sling, because he heard that what happened, and he came over, and he was all crying and stuff, and we were hugging and shit, and he went and checked on everybody and stuff, and they knocked me out, and I woke up butt naked the next morning, and I remember waking up in the hospital bed, and, the manly thing to do is to reach down and scratch the old sack.
Gotta make sure it's still there.
And I think I didn't know what happened. I woke up and I reached down and I pulled my catheter. And I was like, ah. And all I heard was, did they put a catheter in you? And I looked over and it was Todd. And Todd was next to me in the hospital. And I was like, yeah. And he's like, yeah, they got me too. Dude, I was like, oh, it was so painful. But man, I was so happy to see that he was there. And I looked across from me and there was Nagurn right across from me. It was weird. We were in like a 4-bed room, or an 8-bed room. And, for somebody that's losing their leg, it's pretty unusual for someone not to be in the ICU. Yeah. And to see Todd next to me, I was just like...
Yeah, Todd got very lucky.
It was a freak
reasons.
Freak thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One, he was moving.
Yeah, he was running.
He was at full sprint when he hit it.
Mm-hmm.
Second, it low ordered.
Yeah.
So it did fully detonate, but it was like a partial detonation.
Yeah.
So there was charge behind it, and it did break his foot in half. But other than his foot being broken in half, I mean, he didn't have like Clark had all the horrible secondary wounds on his hands or his leg. It didn't actually even amputate anything when he hit it. You know, and again, part of it is because he was running. Part of it was because it was a low charge. You know, he was running the Army 10-miler like before we even came back from Afghanistan.
Yeah,
like
he's a fucking
still
beast,
angers
dude.
me to this day.
We were at CAF, and he had a pack of cigarettes on him, and you know we both smoked whatever, and he would go to me and be like, "You want to go smoke?" And mind you, my face is all fucked up, and he's in a fucking wheelchair, so like I'm like fucking wheeling this dude in a wheelchair with my face hanging off. He's got no leg, and we're going outside to smoke, and this nurse is getting fucking furious with us that we're going outside to smoke, especially me because my face is fucked up, so that's like not good for what I have going on. And she kept yelling at us like, "Where are you guys going? You guys keep disappearing, and I'm supposed to keep track of you, and this that." And like we were like, "Whatever, fuck you, bitch. Like, we're gonna go anyway." And we got in a lot. Me and Ty got in some trouble in the hospital for sure. But we went and we saw, maybe rewinding. We went and saw Dennison and they did our Purple Heart ceremony, and then we got up and we went and we saw Dennison, and he was doing his, and he was so fucked up on drugs. He just kept looking at us and doing the shaka. He was like, there was like generals standing around him, and he's looking at me and he's like doing the shaka.
Sounds about right.
You know, I'm at attention, you know, I'm doing like doing it back. So, and it was, and you know what, seeing him like that, man, it made me like, I was just happy he was still there.
I'm happy that you guys, all of you that got hurt, especially on that last day, got to see each other and like, hey, you're good. I mean, we're varying degrees of the word good.
Yeah, but you're alive.
But you're alive and you're here.
You know?
And it was really helpful because Akoa came back to us.
Yeah, so
he was the unicorn of the whole deployment. Someone that actually got shot and came back and finished the fight. And he came back and was able to tell us, "Hey, I saw the guys. I was there with them. I went to Dennison's Purple Heart ceremony." Like, to have that, like, we didn't have to wait weeks to hear that the guys were good. That's
how it was with something like Clark.
Yeah,
Clark. It was like a week before we really heard what was up. You know, because he was in transit and everything.
Yeah,
but yeah, it was. I'll tell you what, though. I mean, you know, a lot of people, that was my breaking point for sure. It was laying in the triage room at CAF with all the doctors around me.
Then I'd say it was perfectly timed.
Yeah, you know. Yeah. Wait till I left, I guess, right? Yeah. But yeah, you know, so I don't ever hold any animosity, dude, about anyone. Everybody hits it, dude. It's just a matter of time. Yeah. You know, and fuck, dude, I was right there. Yeah. You know, I think if I made it after that mission, I would have had my breaking point on that deployment there. You know, and it was, like I said, it was hard, man. It was hard, you know, just seeing, you know, when are we gonna lose someone else? You know, when someone else is gonna lose a leg, when someone else is gonna get hurt, and it weighs on you, and it weighs on you so much, especially when, you know, you're trying not to show that you're bothered, you know. And I had like personal stuff happen during the deployment too, you know, that was hard on top of everything we're already doing, and a lot of other people did too, man. And
people are human, man.
You know, it's a lot sometimes to handle. And like I said, that I cried like a baby, dude. I sobbed so hard, and you know, got some drugs out of it.
There you go.
But yeah, it was hard, man. It was hard. Just kind of like getting hit with everything at once, you know. But you know, I try, and maybe it's because I worked EMS and I'm used to kind of making the best out of a shit sandwich, or being able to kind of hide pain with laughter a little bit, I guess. But yeah, it was a rough go, man. That mission was a fucking meat grinder. There's no other way to put it. You know, it was. It fucking chewed us up and spit us out. And even the people that didn't get wounded, dude, got wounded in other ways. Yeah. You know, and I think that was like a defining moment for our platoon, you know, if not like the pinnacle of that kind of deployment with just shit, you know?
I mean, that's kind of like everything was either before Najat or after Najat.
Yeah.
That was kind of a crossover for us.
And another thing that was real hard, I know it was hard for Dennison too, was us going home and knowing that you guys were going to be going out without us, you know, and like, it makes you worry. You're like, fuck, dude, I hope nothing happens. I hope nothing happens to anyone. I hope they eat fucking ice cream the rest of the deployment and don't get in one firefight, you know, without us being there. And you guys got in a few, but like no one got hurt. Yeah. Thank fucking God we were the last ones, you know, to get fucked up, and everybody else made it home, man. Because I think that might have sent me over the edge for sure.
If something happened when you weren't there,
when we weren't there, and you know, it's because I mean we're family. You know, a lot of people don't get that. You know, they talk about it, and you see it in Band of Brothers, like we're brothers, but you are your family. You know, because for 7 months, probably like 8, well for me 7 months, but 9 months a year, probably the hardest shit you'll do in your life. Yeah, like that's all you have. You got people at home, whatever, but day to day, it's like that's it. That's all we got.
Yep,
is who you're there with. So,
well, I think we'll take the opportunity to wrap it there. Yeah, I think it's a perfect stopping point, and we went a little bit longer than we planned on. So you know, we'll definitely have you back on for the round table, and
for sure
there will be other things to talk about in the future. But we wanted to give you the chance to say whatever's on your mind.
Yeah.
You know, if there's anything you wanted to say to the guys or that we didn't get to cover that you can cover in the next 5-10 minutes. The floor is yours.
Absolutely. So, I mean, I'm just grateful that out of all the places I could have landed, especially coming to the unit, was landing where I landed with you guys, and you know, especially being like a new NCO and like, you know, having all that responsibility upon you guys made it like incredibly easy on me. And I honestly couldn't ask for like a better group of dudes to be with over there. Like I couldn't even imagine having another group. And if I ever had to piece one together, it would be the same fucking people.
Right.
You know. But you know, fucking love all you guys. Love everybody. And you know, if anybody ever needs anything or is having a hard time, whether it's they can't pay their electric bill or they just need someone to talk to, you know, you can reach out to me. Got me on Facebook, you got my phone number, like anyway, Instagram, you know, send me smoke signals, send me penis pictures. I don't care, man. Hit me up.
Contact us. We'll get you in touch.
Yeah, I'm always here. But outside of the military stuff, so when I got out, you know, I did a few random jobs and started doing wildland firefighting in California. And one organization I did want to give a shout out to that is very similar to some of the vet organizations we have. And I figure, you know, being a vet program, a vet podcast, there's going to be an onslaught of vet charities that get shout outs or vet organizations get shout out. And I would kind of want to, you know, stray away from that to another organization that does help other kind of vets different ways. There is a foundation called the Wildland Firefighters Foundation, based out of Wyoming or Idaho somewhere. I don't remember, but the equivalent of a Wounded Warrior for wildland firefighters. So, you know, very similar to the infantry world, a lot of wildland guys get jacked up on fires bad, you know, burns, go down with heat stroke, break legs, get killed. You know, it happens every year. People get killed or something, you know, or get hurt. And what Wildland Firefighters Foundation does is they'll come in and they're like some of the first people to contact the family, and they'll get the family everything they need, pay for hotel rooms, you know, they'll pay for food, they'll do whatever they need to do to help support that family through that time, that hard time, very much like a lot of the vet organizations do for guys that, you know, lose legs or get killed in combat, you know, like foundations like, you know, Gary Sinise Foundation and stuff like that, you know. So, you know, I just wanted to, you know, if people ever, you know, had a few dollars to spare or anything, they take donations. And it's a great organization. They do a lot of good. They don't use that money like some of the vet organizations do for promotion and stupid salaries and shit. Like they're in it because they give a shit about, because they are wildland firefighters and they started it. So, you know, if you ever have a few bucks to give or looking for a charity around the holidays to throw some money at, I mean, that's one that's very near and dear to my heart and has helped people I know personally when they've been hurt on the line, on the job. And yeah, so you ever get a chance, man, look them up, you know, throw them a donation, something, you know.
Cool.
If they want to. So cool. But yeah, that's it. Well, thank you guys for having me on and giving me the opportunity, you know, to tell some of our stories, and thank you guys for what you're doing, you know, telling all of our stories, because it's good to know that people outside of our group are hearing them and kind of understanding, and you know, maybe some family members or people that are around that are listening have a better idea of what they went through, and you know, maybe some make a difference in someone's life, you know, and make a family a little more understanding of what their loved one went through.
Sure.
So sure. But thank you guys.
Appreciate you taking the time and the effort, man. Much love.
Yeah, man. You know, I love you guys.
Love you too, buddy.
You know, you guys are my team, dude. Yeah, literally.
All right. Well, we'll see you later.
All right, man.